Welcome back to the channel. This is Ready Storm and you are watching first part of What If Naruto Travel Back in Time with Juubi Kurama. If you enjoy this video, please like, share and subscribe to this channel. Now wasting no time, let's start the story.
Naruto and Sasuke were staring at one another. Sakura suffered a fatal wound. Tsunade had passed away. Kurabi suffered a fatal wound. The others had all died. The alliance prevailed over Akatsuki, albeit with significant losses. Actually, the majority of the survivors had already passed away. The only remaining members of the Ichibi no Shukaku and Godem Kazekage were Mei Terumi, Godem Mizukage, the Godem Raikage, and Gaara, the former Jinchuriki. They were in poor health and had to rely on Naruto to take care of them. In the Nine Tails state, Naruto gave Sasuke a scowl. Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan was active as Sasuke glared back. Sasuke, your family was murdered. You got your revenge. Now you make others suffer because you couldn't bear it. You killed the families of everyone I hold dear. I was willing to forgive you before, but now you give me no choice. Sasuke inquired, and what was the choice before, Dobi? Naruto charged up a wind element Rasengan and remarked, before I could let you live, after today, there is no saving you. I was naive. I was a fool. There is no saving someone who doesn't want to be saved. However, there is more than that. Oh, Naruto said in a monotone, they say even the Buddha loses his patience. You have finally crossed the line. No one, not even Madara, can save you now. Sasuke said, then prove me wrong. Prove to me you're not the idiot I thought you were. You should know something. Back then, all those years ago in that valley, I was holding back so I could save you, and bring you back. Had I not done so, you would have died then, said Naruto. This ends now. Come again. This ends today. You, Sasuke fucking Uchiha, are dead fucking meat, Naruto yelled. After raising an eyebrow in complete surprise at the announcement, Sasuke was even more shocked when Naruto raced toward him at invisible speeds. Rot in hell you fucking bastard. He struck Sasuke square in the heart, causing him to counterattack by releasing all of his chakra. I can't possibly lose here. Sasuke pondered. Kid, you do realize that what you're doing is going to kill you both, right? It's okay if it kills him. There is nothing else to do unless you have a plan to take us back to the beginning of this whole thing. I know we didn't get along until recently, and that's probably mostly your fault, but I was partially at fault. You caused all the pain in my life, and yet you're the only reason I'm alive now. I'm sorry for letting you down like this, but... Naruto yelled at the Kyuubi inside of him. If you want to go back, then I can do it. Kyuubi responded. However, the power could merge all of the Biju into one, and if that's the case I would be replaced by the Juubi. Naruto answered, let's do it if we can stop all of this from happening. But I have to warn you. You might not be able to stop anything if you do this. He'll know everything, even if you send him back with you. There are too many factors to consider. Right now, I'm not even sure where I should put you all. It will require a lot of my Yuki, and I'll admit that I only used it once. Do it. I might as well save Sasuke before he has to, even if I have to travel back in time to do it. I get it. Just try not to draw too much attention to yourself like you did in the past and don't act foolish again. I'd probably curse myself mentally for having to do that, and if I do, it's just to maintain appearances, neither more nor less. Alright, as long as you don't do so willingly, and like it, I'm fine with it. Then Naruto began to glow dark purple, engulfing Sasuke as well. The purple ball that formed turned black, sending a beam to Sakura, who was still alive but injured, and drawing her into it. Then, to the surprise of Kurabi, Gaara, and Mei, the orb started to contract once she was inside it. Do you think he's dying and trying to take Sasuke with him? They asked. Standing next to each other, Mei inquired. No, however, given his prior declaration, I don't doubt that he wouldn't have drawn Sakura in, and it appears that he wanted to do so. Gaara informed her, I don't like a lot of things, and his self-sacrificing behavior is one of them. But he would only want to leave in that manner. An eyebrow was raised. What are you saying? He would like to leave as a nobleman, and with a bang, said Gaara. Weakly, B said, I agree. Hey, bro. I hurried over to him, and Gaara and Mei arrived just as quickly. I'm not going to survive. No longer. Still weak, B remarked. I did my job well. That one. Naruto wasn't there. It was Kurama. Kyuubi. He's still alive. If Kyuubi took this action, Mei said, but that means, I think he sent him through time. Sakura and Sasuke were also entangled in it. The only question now is when they will show up, Gaara said. adding, "We should live on." A voice said, "Wait, Gaara. Shukaku? No, it's the Easter raccoon. What are you looking for?" Kurama practiced a prohibited demonic art. "I'll be honest with you. I am aware of where all three of them landed. I can put you in the same moment, but you will end up wherever your body is at that moment. Hey, why don't I do it if you will?" Gaara shot back, "You did just say it was forbidden. Really, there is nothing more to gain from this situation. There is nothing we can do with a dead wasteland, and the other 8 Biju are still alive. I'll work something out with you. If you do this, you won't have to worry about me taking over, and I'll let you sleep. That's the mindset I'll have now. I didn't have one back then. How does that improve things? I had to worry about that fucking monk after that. I don't now. While I was being taken away from you, I was able to beat him out of my mind. I was so worn out from doing this that the extraction went more smoothly than it should have. I already know how to get rid of the monk, so I'll do it this time. I'll be rational and sane after that, and you'll be able to sleep. I'm starting to understand why you and Naruto were so close. He was able to make friends with anyone, even Biju. And it requires a great deal of skill and persuasion. And you really believe that I would follow through? Really? No." Gaara was taken aback by the disclosure, but he said, "I'm going to learn from him. If we can't be friends, I want to at least try to get along. There would be no point here. There would then be. And it would be simple to start over and remove anyone who stands in his way." "You're kidding me. Observe. For once, I'm attempting to be kind. And unlike every other time, this one benefits both parties, not just me. According to Gaara, count me in. Look, I'm certain you don't." "What?" I declared that I was in. May and A gave him a look and said, "On one condition." "Excellent. What is it? If not, forget it." Gaara said calmly, "They come back as well." Shukaku said, "All right, but I won't have enough for all 3 of you. I'll carry it out." Son Goku Yanbi said, "Leave them to me. I owe Naruto a favor, and this is how I can repay him. I will return them, but I will not be returning myself. I'll let you guys handle any planning." A nodded, and Mei said, "How about my brother? With him, only the Hachibi can do anything." Son said, "Until he's dead, we other Biju have no say over him, and then there's nothing we can do. But he will probably be alive because we are sending all 3 of you to the same time, because we can send you down the same path they went," he said, looking down. "Pretend you were unaware of what had transpired up to this point and that nothing had changed from the original timeline. It is preferable if no one is aware that you are from the future." They all nodded before vanishing as they were absorbed by the purple orb themselves. 8. "Oh, I'm glad things happened this way. At least my brother will do some good in the past," Karabi said with a satisfied sigh. "B. Let it rest. I am unable to return you. I don't have enough Yuki for that. For us, this is the end. But for them, it's just the beginning." True. For what reason was Sasuke having the worst day of his life? In addition to the familiar setting, he was stuck as a child and simply passed out from the shock of it all. When Naruto saw this happening, all of his memories that he had not had for a few minutes suddenly returned to him. He realized what had happened and grabbed Sasuke as he fell. "Teme, did you come as well? You struck me. The Rasengan. Fuden, Rasengan. Where are we? Take a look at yourself, then my attire, and finally the surroundings." Naruto informed him, "You ought to be able to tell it from there." Sasuke smirked instead of cursing, even though he would have if he could have. "You didn't kill me. We were sent back by you. Our very first actual mission." Naruto nodded and gave him a look. "Neither he nor I planned the destination. However, now that we're here, we can put things right." "I thought you said. You completed everything that hasn't yet occurred after that. Rest for now." Naruto told him, "I'll take him out." Sasuke nodded, then fainted. "I won't explain it until you're awake again." Haku said, "You do realize he won't wake up. That's where you're wrong, Haku." Naruto said, ignoring him, "He's just unconscious. He wouldn't have been killed by you." "How did he know? I've changed from the gullible boy I was 5 minutes ago. I only have a few years of experience and knowledge." He turned to face Haku and unconsciously directed his own chakra into his eyes, which turned red and slitted. "I hate to tell you, but I'm knocking you out here," he said. "You'll live, but Zabuza won't. You've experienced hell. I've experienced hell. He has endured a lot. His brother was the cause of his. Your father gave it to you. My own father sentenced me to a life of suffering, grief, and isolation. How? Await my completion. You turned into Zabuza's coping mechanism. However, you were never a true tool," Naruto remarked. "As his bloodline would have desired. Sasuke sought revenge. Even after learning what it was, I never gave in to the hatred that was directed at me, and I never once held my father accountable for his actions because I knew that I would have acted similarly in his shoes. Surprised, Haku said, "How do you know I'm not a real tool? Would you carry out Zabuza's order to murder him?" Haku just paused when Naruto asked. "I'm taking your hesitation and silence as a no, you wouldn't have given it a second thought if you were a real tool." "How? How do you know for sure? My life has flashed before my eyes, and now I'm actually living it. Something I'm compelled to like. Haku, come out of the mirror. Either that or I'll eject you and knock you unconscious. We would treat you fairly if you accompanied us back to Konohagakure, Sasuke, and you would get along okay, but don't bring up the mask. Haku, you are among kin. Sasuke, you and I are all related. We will not harm you in any way that we wouldn't harm ourselves." "How can I be sure you're telling the truth?" Without missing a beat, Naruto shot back, "Because deep down, you know it's true. Yeah, we're enemies now. You would perish if I were angry with you. It's either that, or die where you stand, and I'd rather avoid killing, to be honest." With his eyes closed, Naruto began to gather sage chakra, which he was doing effortlessly. "What about Zabuza? Unless I'm mistaken, which I don't believe I am, you were never really a ninja of the mist. If he survives today, he'll just be found another day, and be killed then." Naruto said. "You wouldn't be considered a rogue as a result. The rogue is Zabuza. You simply followed him. Even though he isn't as big of a jerk as most people think, Kirigakure will not let him live because he is still a threat. Not until the end of the Bloodline Civil War, and even then, it's very unlikely." Naruto opened his eyes wide, and he felt a familiar chakra pulse. His eyes were now gold, with a bar and a slit crossing like a plus. "What the hell is she doing here?" he asked, turning his head. "Yoden. Lava bed." The lava appeared in the dome, and Mei Terumi emerged from it as a female voice yelled, startling Haku and causing Naruto to grab Sasuke before leaping into the air onto one of the mirrors. "What the fuck, Mei?" Naruto yelled. "So, Ichibi and Sun were correct," Mei said. "They were able to send us to the same time after picking up your path." "What in hell are you discussing?" Naruto yelled. "Are you familiar with her?" Haku inquired. "Mei Terumi, future Godem Mizukage, and wielder of Yoden and Fuden bloodlines," Naruto said. "As to why she's here, that's what I want to know. You ought to be aware of something. At this time, I was in the region," Mei said. "We were looking for recruits, to be honest, as the Civil War started a few months back. Everything cleared up before I could investigate it. To be honest, I'm happy I was. There is a member of the Hyouden bloodline present. I believe that the Kori clan had long since been exterminated. I was mistaken, it turns out." "You belong to the bloodline faction?" Haku said, leaving the mirror and standing directly in front of Mei. "And you are?" "Haku. I'm not really willing to come and fight them, though. I would prefer not to kill, but a war would force me to," Haku said. As he landed in front of them, Naruto remarked, "In any case, do you actually remember everything? He never liked killing." "Yes, I do. Until that purple orb swallows us whole. That girl with the pink hair. One of the beams from you and the Uchiha struck her." "Calm down, Mei. At this moment, he poses no threat. Orochimaru hasn't pursued him, is still at large, and everything is avoidable. When he returned, he was unconscious. But I haven't sensed Sakura coming back. She'll be right over." Suddenly, power surged in the area. Both Zabuza and Kakashi sensed it. "What the fuck, Kakashi? Why is your brat getting stronger so quickly?" Astonished, "I think you said that your apprentice could beat my students," Kakashi said, "but this is all I can really do. Time to bluff. Don't claim you were mistaken." Sakura rubbed her eyes. She knew this place, but she couldn't place it until she looked behind her and saw Dazuna. "What the hell happened? One minute I'm in a really messed up genjutsu, which I can't feel, and the next minute I've got Dazuna next to me. And he's supposed to be dead." Sakura asked herself, searching for Naruto. "Wait. He's using Sage Chakra. He couldn't do so at this point, though." She was suddenly confronted by a shadow clone of Naruto. "Let me guess, didn't you, Sakura, get sent back with us? Time travel, then? I was informed of that. Let's go back to our initial mission. The hunter ninja who defeated Zabuza, Haku, is still alive. Either Kurama fulfilled his promise and transported us back in time, or this is an incredibly complex genjutsu that surpasses the Tsukuyomi. It seems that Gaara, Mei, and they were also sent back by Yanbi and Ichibi. We're going to put things right this time. But Sasuke accompanied you and me. We are fortunate that he is unconscious." "All right. Moreover, why are you in Sage mode? I think I'd need it for Haku. I have Tazuna, Naruto said. Batter Kurama's Yuki, and he used too much of it to send us back. Haku is being persuaded to accompany us by the boss. After I returned, you ought to send Zabuza flying the way you used to do to me. In which direction? Sakura smirked as she questioned. Pulling out a note, he said, get his sword away from him, place this message on him, and then send him to Kumogakure via the one-way express line. Something that might be helpful, I believe. Particularly if it returned. She nodded and slipped away, not really worrying about the sword because it was already on the ground. She approached him directly, put it in his pocket, positioned herself, and pointed. Hey Zabuza? She inquired naively. Well? How did you? This are to make Haku a fucking tool? Sakura yelled as she punched him square in the cheek. He went flying towards Kumogakure. That ought to do it. Sakura, why the hell did you do? As the mist cleared, Naruto appeared alongside an unconscious Sasuke, followed by the Hunter Ninja, Sakura, who was holding Zabuza's Zanbato, a red head he had never seen before, and Tazuna. Who are you? Dangerously, he asked Mei. Kakashi. Sensei, calm down, she's cool. Nice. Without ever taking his eyes off Mei, Kakashi asked. You know, if you keep staring at me like that I'm going to think you want to seduce me, or something. Mei replied to him. And Sensei, close your eye, Naruto said, shaking his head, exiting Sage mode, and halting the flow of chakra to his eyes. Mei. Chan. I wouldn't do that. Zabuza. I'm not overly concerned. He's joining us, Haku. I kind of lied to you in the forest, if it's about your precious person. Haku said, no, my gender. Naruto became irritated. You must be seriously deluding me. All that time I thought you were a male, and really you were just playing me? Yelled Naruto, clutching his hair. I don't know what you're talking about. Haku responded, it was only a few days at most. Perhaps for you. For me, it was. Hold on, I'm 12 now. That's 4 years, Naruto yelled. Hey. Now that you've resolved that, I'll give you the lowdown, Mei said, pausing before turning to face Kakashi. Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto are not who you once believed them to be. Or rather. Naruto said, we aren't the ones you know. Trapped in our old bodies, we are our future selves. I used one blow to send Zabuza reeling. She looked at Naruto and said, I'll admit I still haven't gotten used to the younger body. I would have been able to pick this damn thing up last time around. Why did you want this thing? Incentive for Haku. Naruto said, aside from that, I'm not surprised your body is not exactly used to the older version of you. Alright, why Kumo? Sakura inquired. Killer A and Kurabi, his brother. As soon as he reads it, he will know. Naruto nodded as he said, especially if what Mei said was true. Thonk, thonk, thonk so, you mean the great demon of the mist? There's no sign of him? Naruto snarled. They ran away the last time, but they came back after we allegedly left. He collected sage chakra and said, this time, they won't be able to. He opened his eyes and said, Kakashi, don't be shocked by what you see, because I couldn't do this the last time, and nothing about it is shared until after our first Chunin exams. Jutsu Shadow Clone. He created 9 clones in all, which were subsequently divided into 3-person groups. After 3 Narutos extended their hands and 2 others used wind element chakra to manipulate the shape, 3 giant shuriken appeared above 3 distinct Narutos. Kakashi observed what he did with the hand and said, Gato, now is your moment. Futen. Behind them, they all moved the shuriken. Rasen shuriken. Before expanding and destroying everyone in its path, all 3 were flung and struck 3 distinct locations. It was an original jutsu, or one that hasn't been made yet, and Kakashi was astounded by its destructive power. When the 3 shuriken vanished, Gato was the only one left. Haku, you want him? You ought to take him out yourself, in my opinion. Zabuza did, and he did betray you last time. It seems only fair to me. Haku approached Sakura and took hold of the handle of the Zanbato, saying, I'd use his blade to do so, then. She placed it on her shoulder and said, good thing he taught me how to use this, too. She charged at Gato, who was unable to do anything at all, and she cut him in half without feeling guilty about it. That was much better than I had anticipated. She placed it on her back and turned back to Naruto, saying, I'm going with you. The guy was a bastard, and I really wanted to get rid of him a while back, too. I apologize, Mei. I will not go back to Water Country. I just don't belong there. Nothing more is involved. Don't worry, Haku. Mei sighed and said, in any case, teach him some ninjutsu. You want to stay with him, and Konohagakure won't help out, so he can't help. He has Uzumaki blood and, if my memory serves me correctly, is somehow connected to Kushina. She turned to Naruto and said, I'll be honest and say that she and I were friends when we were kids. Head to Whirlpool Island, just southeast of here. There is a library that has been sealed. Only members of the Terumi clan are aware of this blood seal. I think you can open it, but we can't. For a day or two, I'll need to give my mind and soul time to acclimate to the body again. After that, I'll leave. Would you mind staying? Naruto inquired. Obviously. For your past, I owe you. Future, actions. Mei sounded perplexed and pouted. Damn, this is confusing. Mei flushed. Are you blushing? Naruto said. And here I thought I was deluding myself. You really do look cute when you pout like that. No, she yelled. That was a little too quick, Naruto said. Are you certain I didn't just make Mei the succubus look bad? It's official. I said I didn't. Naruto was aware that Mei was irritated. Naruto remarked, looks like Gaara owes me money, especially since he was sent back, am I correct? What are you discussing? I told B and him that I could irritate anyone. I couldn't get under your skin, B said. Agreeing, Gaara placed a wager. You'd think he'd know better than to wager against me by then, Naruto said, because he picked you. B then selected option A. Hold on. I now owe them both money. B didn't come back. Naruto retorted, but it was present for it. Even though I enjoy this lighthearted banter, could you please tell me exactly what happened? Await Sasuke's awakening. We'll all be needed. They heard voices followed by footsteps. Naruto? We're here to help, Inari said. Inari. Naruto told him, it's already over. But now, I'm tired. He fainted, and Mei had to catch him. Looks like chakra exhaustion. Before Kakashi could cover his Sharingan, Haku said, I think a bit of ginseng tea, mixed with a small amount of fondue might help. Fondue? Kakashi inquired. It adds flavor. If you want flavor for him, ramen broth is the way to go, he said. It's just a suggestion, said Haku, shrugging. In any case, I believe we ought to give them some time to rest. One of Naruto's issues is chakra exhaustion. She turned to Mei and said, I think you should come with us so you can rest. I'd wager he's got more to worry about as his body starts to adapt to the older body. You should inform any subordinates you may have. 3 other Junin level ninjas jumped right next to her and a man said, we're already here. Wait, a nin of Kiri Hunter? Shingo, calm down. Mei looked at Tazuna and said, she's not one of them. Do you mind if we stay until Naruto is ready to go? She asked, holding up a hand. For what I think may be Uzumaki clan secrets, we will need him to accompany us. Tazuna's daughter, Tsunami, attracted her attention by saying, as long as you don't break anything, you should be fine. Mei nodded as they exchanged greetings. I'm sorry for making you provide for more, but as soon as Naruto is able, we will leave, and he will meet with his team on the mainland, as this bridge is likely to be finished by then. What about Tanzaku? Sakura inquired. What's there? Kakashi inquired. In any case, he would also have to sign with the Toads once more. Sakura acknowledged, that's where he found Tsunade the first time around. Otherwise, his ability to use Sage Mode would raise suspicions. You guys are really making it hard to have a normal life, you know? Kakashi sighed. Sakura acknowledged, I blame Naruto for that. Our team draws the most crazy people out of all the teams. I don't mean to offend, Haku. None taken. Sasuke and Naruto were still unconscious as they made their way back to Tazuna's house. Kumogakure had just become Raikage and was already a little bored, so he was just going about his business when he released an influx of power that made several of Kumo's Anbu appear. Sir. I'm fine, he said, taking a deep breath before waving them away. Stop worrying so much, he yelled at them before he saw the iconic anime ding through the window hole and thought, oh shush, T. A moment later, someone burst into the office, stunned and uneasy. Mochi Zabuza. Hold on, before approaching him, he yelled, I see something's wrong, and it's a note. Raikage. Sama. And Anbu exclaimed. This handwriting. Damn Gaki. Hey. This is going to be fun, A said, ignoring him as he read it. Raikage. Sama, you shouldn't handle. Stop talking. They all glanced at one another. An old friend of mine sent him this way with a note, though I'd wager another friend of his added the express, A growled. Moaned Zabuza. Stop him, get down on your feet, A gave the order. How on earth did that girl strike so forcefully? What? Zabuza asked. Zabuza Momochi, you just faced Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, Kakashi Hatake, and a pink-haired brat, right? The Anbu, who hadn't relaxed, was perplexed by his question. How were you aware? Zabuza snarled. That's where we ended up 4 years ago. I said, well, shit. You know that Pinky punched you all the way here? Blondie is incapable of doing so, and Emo wouldn't even bother to try. You act like you know them. Blondie already had the tip from 3 other people because he used you to send me a message. I am one of those 3. Naturally, I am familiar with them. Maybe you can tell me how the fuck they got so powerful so quick. You wouldn't believe me if I did. In any case, there are many things that work in his favor, and he would kill you without a doubt if Blondie went all out against you right now. Zabuza said nothing. What are you trying to get out of me? Not much. Just let him know B remembers everything, somehow. If you follow through on that, we'll make your arrival here much more confidential. Do you think you can make me wave like that brat did? With a single blow? Then he grabbed his collar and said, I doubt it. A throw, however, is a different story. He then threw Zabuza through the same hole he came in, sending him off with one of the best throws he's ever done. That should do it. Bring Karabi and Yugito in. I need to talk to them about something. Mr. Sanagakure, so, either he's facing off with Zabuza, training, or on his way back, Gaara said, locating himself where he should have been during Naruto's stay in Wave Country. If there's anything I can say for sure, he just got through with a fight and passed out. What are you discussing? Remember how I traveled back in time with you? For some reason, I can sense Kurama's container because I followed his path. He's currently out of it, but they're still in Wave. How can I be sure that I can trust you at this time? The monk is currently sleeping, but I must too. I can't get the drop on him because he hasn't let his guard down. I have to get rid of him right away. It might take some time, but unless I initiate a conversation that doesn't conclude with me telling you to prove yourself or kill someone for their blood, don't respond the same way you did previously. By all means, follow your own wishes if they are intended to protect Uzumaki. That's a different perspective. I understand, but you won't be able to sleep until that fucking monk leaves. He will try to take over if I don't, and he's already crazy enough. I must pretend to be the bloodbath version of myself for the time being. Get rid of him as soon as you can. I hope it happens before the Chunin exams. At the moment, that appears to be the best choice. Don't kill at my command, please. That monk will only cause more problems as a result. Noted. I appreciate you trying to believe me at all, even though I'm not worthy of it. At that, Gaara remained silent and kept his gaze fixed on the sky. After 4 days, Whirlpool Island, in front of a door stood Naruto, Mei, and 4 Miss Junin. I know you're not well versed in your heritage, but... After examining the door for anything unusual, Naruto said, relax, Mei. He then noticed something directly above the handle and thought, let's see. Damn, this is set to absorb the life out of anyone that grabs it. Wait. If that were the case, then how could a future Uzumaki get to it? Before creating a shadow clone, Naruto grabbed the handle, but it was pushed in rather than turned. At that, Mei arched an eyebrow, and as he stood there, the door slid in and to the side. Huh. That's how it is. What are you saying? We even attempted that, but some of us died. You most likely don't have Uzumaki blood, which explains that. When Mei approached it, it closed, and strange runes appeared that Naruto instantly understood. I guess, since this is what I did, is push it in with a chakra-infused hand. It's either use the Uzumaki chakra, or have the Uzumaki blood, Naruto said. There is only one entry at a time, and only the one who can open this door by themselves is permitted to pass. Everyone else will perish, leaving no other option. Naruto said, well, shit. What, are you able to read that? No one else can enter until I pass. Additionally, it will still block them access unless they are able to open it themselves. The user will still be killed by clones. And the clone trick won't work, like I thought it could. Naruto acknowledged. I'll go through, myself, and do what I can. You are the first person to arrive in a long time, so be careful, Uzumaki-san. This is known as a gauntlet of death because only 4 people have survived. One was named Kushina Uzumaki, and the other was named Mito Uzumaki. Hold on. My mother's name was Kushina. According to Naruto, Mito was the first known Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, followed by my mother and me. Then you will probably pass, but watch out for all the traps, which will push you over your limit. Do you really want to go in? He opened the door again and went through, saying, Mei, if anyone from Konoha Suna or Kumo come after me, tell them I'm doing this for family reasons. If this can teach me about my family history, then so be it. As the door fully closed, Mei said, will do. Be careful, Naruto. We'll need you for the war. Mei. Sama. What will we do until he comes out? We hold off. He is essential to the future of the world. With a sickly sweet smile on her face, Mei said, I am sure of that. If you complain or ask why I say this, I will kill you. Each of them gave a nod. Wave country, I'm not sure I can handle a fangirl again. Sasuke was meditating in the forest. Something about this situation seemed so necessary. What's going on? One moment he's ready to kill me, the next he sends us back in time? Then Sakura approached him and said, are you wondering why I returned with you? Before you ask, I had no idea what the hell was going on, Sasuke said, opening his eyes. He was going to kill you, and I was going to die. The next thing I know, you're caught in it, he's swallowed up by some orb, and it's beaming at me. I end up on the bridge after that. I'm not even positive that I wanted to return. Sakura was taken aback when Sasuke said, and we can't go back to that point, nor do I want to. Oh, why not? Because I'm not regarded as a rogue at this time. I can alter all of that, even if I were in the future. I am aware of Orochimaru's plans and even know the locations of at least 70 of his bases. Before he can do anything, we can kill him. And you got back at me? Sakura raised an eyebrow in question. The elders are the only people I'm targeting for that. Since Danzo truly transgressed the old Uchiha clan, he comes first. Oh, really? He placed Shisui's in his right eye and 9 Sharingan in his arm. What does that indicate? Sasuke glared at her as he asked. She didn't respond as he had anticipated, of course. You know what? And for the first time since the massacre, Sasuke displayed a look of surprise rather than rage or hatred. I think I can help you out there, he said. What? Hey, killing off a whole clan is one thing, and yes, I am aware of the reality. Naruto also succeeds. Together, the three of us can reveal that Itachi snuck into Danzo's private documents and killed off the clan because they wanted a coup d'etat. In black and white, it was there. In addition to the coup d'etat, Danzo killed the Uchiha clan in order to implant them into his right eye and a Mokuton-enhanced arm. Now that he's out of the way, nobody can do anything stupid, and the public will see all of his foolish actions. Naruto can enter and obtain the necessary proof. He's our best chance to show him for what he truly is out of all of us. And why is that? You are aware that we are discussing a person who has entered and exited the Hyuga clan estate covertly in order to get Hinata pregnant at her request. Really, only the two of them and I were aware that he was its father. The point at which you crossed the line was when you killed her. Sakura informed him, you took 2 lives when you took hers. He's her goddamn father, and Heishi didn't even know she was pregnant. This occurred 3 weeks later. That's just so wrong. And yet I wouldn't put it past him to do that without being noticed, said Sasuke, his eyes widening. How about you? I have a bit of brute strength and work as a medic. They would immediately move it if I attempted to enter undetected. Conversely, since you are now a flight risk, his watchdogs are probably keeping an eye on you. That risk did, in fact, come to pass, but I understand what you're saying. He would be suspicious of me right away and try to get rid of me. Simply put, you would create more noise than he could. Surprisingly, the last person to die has the best chance of obtaining them. Sasuke acknowledged, it seems none of us were really slacking off, and my own arrogance was the reason I never bothered to look, much less notice. And to find out that Zabuza actually ended up in Kumogakure was quite the feat for you. I finally realized that Naruto, the person who was always referred to as dead last, might not be who we believe ourselves to be. Sakura remarked, not who everyone thinks he is now, at least. Sasuke arched an eyebrow, saying, I spoke with Iruka before the war. Hell, even before he returned from his 2-year, 6-month trip with Jiraiya, because, strangely enough, I suspected foul play in the academy. As it happens, I was correct. Sasuke looked at her curiously and said, they deliberately stunted his growth from the beginning of his academy days. Iruka had all of his documents, including his private activities. For you, the academy was biased against him. Everything made sense to me when I gave it some thought. The tricks he performed, it wasn't merely a publicity stunt. Even he was unaware at the time that it was an odd method of self-training. He trained himself in a way that benefited him because no one else would train him. One of those methods was pranking. Although he never enjoyed reading, he picked things up fast when it came to application. If they stunted his growth, then they wanted him to die from the get-go, Sakura said. The village hated him, but it wasn't for the pranks. I now understand why he was despised. The last time, I didn't even care to see him. We're in this together this time. We'll kill Orochimaru if he shows up. We still have no chance on our own. Hold on. Make a backup. Do you know why people hate him? Sakura inquired. Don't you? Only those with Junin rank and higher are aware. The war prevented me from ever making Junin. That's another thing, Sakura acknowledged, but I was still a Chunin. When it comes to skill or strength, rank is meaningless. If a Kage were unprepared, a genin with the proper training and strategy could defeat them. In the past, Naruto frequently did this to the Sandaime. It makes me think. Sasuke said, it's either that, or he gets the knowledge of it wiped from his brain. Make sure the sexy jutsu gets placed on the forbidden lists. Is that feasible? Sakura asked. They both thought about it. Sasuke shook his head. What? Why not? He is despised because he carries the Kyuubi. Since he has access to its chakra, if you see him covered in a black or red chakra that resembles a fox, keep your hands off it. It will burn your skin until it melts, Sasuke said, adding that it serves as a memory aid for things he has forgotten for an unknown amount of time. Memory wipe would be effective if not for that. Gosh. Scroll of Seals prohibited. It can only proceed in that manner. The item is categorized as either S rank or E rank. Sasuke said, it depends on who you ask. What makes S rank? You want to know a really dumb story, making a defeat that even I am forced to acknowledge. Sasuke said, it's the only jutsu to date that's taken out a Kage in one go, without once touching him. Tell me. Sasuke let out a sigh. Rewind. Sakura and Kakashi had departed, and Sasuke and Naruto were in Training Ground 7. Are you prepared for this, Teme? I'll defeat you in a single motion. With Sharingan active, Sasuke assumed a stance and said, try it, Dobi. With a hand gesture, Naruto said, Harem Jutsu. There were suddenly 20 Narukos in the area, all surrounding him. With his Sharingan active, he took in everything, and quickly ended up with a nosebleed. They all disappeared and Naruto was in the area. Told you I'd win in one move. No one answered. Sasuke? He approached him and said, damn it. I didn't realize that blood loss causes people to faint. I will concede, though, that it works better than the sexy jutsu. Perhaps a jutsu could cause them to blow up as they. That's it. After that, Naruto rushed to locate Kakashi, only to discover that he would not be teaching him one. Flashback over. You had Sharingan in that state of activity? Sakura inquired, startled. You can be sure that he will eliminate his opponent in a single move if he ever says so. He might as well learn the Great Clone Explosion Jutsu from me, too. Perhaps he can use the Great Clone Explosion in conjunction with his Harem Jutsu to blow Orochimaru sky high. Jiraiya a lot more likely to fall for it. Sakura said. He's a self-proclaimed super pervert, after all. Yes. You're correct, said Sasuke, but what about Kakashi? He already knows a little bit. He is unaware of your rogue behavior or the reasons behind it. Additionally, he was unaware that you had received a curse mark. Speaking of which, I know how to get rid of it, but I can't perform that kind of process, Sasuke said. Is it possible to get rid of it? How? I don't know if you know what marking one's mate is, but the Cursed Seal of Heaven is a weaker and distorted form of it. I can't get rid of it because it would take a demon to do so, Sasuke said. What would happen if, say, a Jinchuriki were possessed by their Biju? Sakura said, I just had a thought. Is that going to work? I'm not sure, Sasuke said, blinking. I can't say for sure, but it's possible. I used to be a part of Akatsuki, so I know the locations and identities of all the Jinchuriki. Take out the ones in Suna and Kumo. Those who were in agreement with Kiri at this time can probably also be taken off the list. Only Ichibi, Nibi, Sanbi, and Hachibi are no longer on the list. Kyuubi is also with Naruto. Sakura said, you have their names? That means the Yonbi all the way to Nanabi need to be located and informed. I would start with the Nanabi. Due to timing, they will probably target the Gobi first before moving on to Naruto. The village of Waterfall is where Nanabi is. Both Gobi and Yonbi support Iwa, but Gobi went rogue, while Yonbi is only partially loyal. So, we ought to disregard the Yonbi and Gobi. Naruto told me about his father, and he should avoid Iwagakure because they look so alike. He would also need to regain his trust because the Sandaime Tsuchikage did not return with us. In Iwa, his father was despised. His father was the Yondaime Hokage. Sakura said, a more accurate way to say it is Iwa and his father are like you and Itachi when you first left us. Sasuke's eyes widened. His name was Minato Namikaze, and his mother. She probably has Uzumaki in her name, but I'm not even positive. Furthermore, I would infer from Mei's behavior that there was formerly an Uzumaki clan, of which he is the last. Much like. Sasuke's gaze grew wider still. And the Namikaze clan? No word anywhere. Sakura replied. Probably wiped out, and he's the last of them, as well. Kakashi indicated his presence by asking, so, you're discussing what shouldn't be discussed by the law. In fact, the law prohibits adults from telling young people. In addition to being outside the village, this is an adult telling another adult. Nobody else is aware of it, despite the fact that we became adults the moment we received our headbands. In addition, Naruto himself told me this. And he would also like Sasuke to be aware of this, Sakura said. All right, then, Kakashi said, raising his single eyebrow. Put it on me. The Yondaime is someone I know, but I had no idea he had a son. I would have attempted to adopt him myself if I had. I'm not sure how people don't notice, but it's probably blind hatred of the Kyuubi sealed within him that caused them to not care, or never notice, Sakura said, causing Kakashi's eye to widen. The Yondaime is Naruto's father. In any case, it's disgusting, and I would leave with Naruto if I weren't a kunoichi. He is not worthy of the village. Kakashi gave her a look and said, and he told you this? He found out when? Sakura nodded. Sasuke went on, that's what I want to know. Sakura talked about Pain versus Konohagakure, followed by Naruto versus Pain, Hinata's help, Naruto's outburst, and what transpired when Naruto nearly used all 9 tails. After everything, Naruto faced Nagato and removed the final path of pain. He allowed Nagato to survive, even though he had every right to kill him. Later, Nagato gave his life to save everyone. Although he tried to eradicate hatred throughout his life, his last deed was pure. That didn't work out until he passed away. One of the numerous individuals Naruto improved, Sakura concluded. He's stronger than I am, Sasuke said, lowering his gaze. Sakura and Kakashi turned to face him as a result. Come again? He's better than I ever was. Sasuke's eyes were watering, and the two onlookers' eyes widened. He had the chance for revenge. He got him where he desired him to be. However, he didn't do it. What kept him from doing it? Why didn't he kill him? He asked. Even I am still in the dark. Ultimately, Nagato gave his life for peace rather than Naruto murdering him to exact revenge. Instead of allowing their emotions to control their lives, I believe they both followed their convictions. Strength has nothing to do with chakra levels, jutsu ability, or even control. It just comes down to willpower. Whoever has the strongest will. Of them all, that is the most potent. The Kyuubi has not altered Naruto's will. His will isn't even affected by fate. His will cannot even be touched by them. He is unbreakable. She glanced at Sasuke and said, he's honorable enough to take the blow for someone he considered a friend, even one who tried to kill him on several occasions, and he won't back down from punishment he knows he deserves. Even after pushing Chidori in his chest, he still doesn't give up on me, Sasuke said, stopping his tears and punching a hole in the ground. He embodies the impossible in real life and possesses a will that prevents even the Shinigami from moving. Sasuke's eyes revealed the fully grown up Sharingan. And if the worst happens, I'll support him in any way I can. If he doesn't become Hokage, I'm killing the council myself, and everyone that said he would never be Hokage in the decision. In contrast to the previous time, when I was too innocent and firmly rooted in my clan to consider anything else. You'd help him after everything you put him through last time? Asked Sakura, a little taken aback. When Kakashi was surprised, Sasuke responded, that was due to my own foolishness, and Orochimaru's curse mark. Kakashi, don't say a word, as I know exactly what that entailed, Sasuke said. I didn't care at the time because I didn't know the truth and didn't bother to find out. I'm supporting him this time. Even if I do get marked by him, I can ask the Hokage for a mission to use it to our advantage, Kakashi said, simply staring at him. Remove a rogue while working for them, and when, not if, I actually remove him, I return with his head. I know where to get rid of Orochimaru because he is nothing more than a bother. At least I am aware of the locations of at least 70 of his bases. In order to either capture him or destroy them, I can give the Hokage locations and have him send some elite ninja after them. But catching him is not going to be simple. Instead of taking him alive, you would be better off killing him, but we'll have to time it correctly. You're concerned about timing when he's been viewed as a rogue for years? Kakashi inquired. He was my teacher. I am aware of his mentality. He is not a moron, and he will know within 24 hours if one of his bases is destroyed. He's that talented. Someone will change his hiding technique if his cover is compromised. One that I may not even be aware of. Sasuke responded, at this time, I was considered a flight risk. If that's the case, then things won't go well for anyone, making my knowledge of his bases useless. I could very well blame Naruto for what happened, but I won't. I'm to blame for leaving in order to acquire power. It's not happening this time. It will most certainly not be as rogue if it does. How can I be sure you're telling the truth about that? Kakashi put his hand on his headband. With his hand still in place, Sasuke said, because I can teach you the variants of Chidori that I came up with in the future. And then there's the fact that I know that Itachi lied to me that day. He sighed and stood up, saying, I'll be honest, something like that isn't something I'd normally say. This time, I can make amends for his actions and improve my clan for anyone coming into later on, where arrogance is frowned upon. I will demonstrate my intention to make amends through Naruto, though, since I want him to move into the Uchiha complex and will probably teach him some jutsu that I believe he could use with ease, including those from the Uchiha library if he is capable of using them. Please let me know if you would like to learn the different varieties of Chidori. I'll show you how to do them and assist you in carrying them out. After that, Sasuke began to make his way back to Dazuna's house. Oh, and Sakura? What? Sakura inquired, irritated. You're not entirely worthless. For the kind of girl I believed you to be, it is truly a miracle that you survived the ordeal of facing those bastards in Akatsuki. He walked away after saying, You've earned my respect because you took a few of them down. He never complimented me. Why did he just? I think everyone that came back has said this at least once, Sakura said, standing there in disbelief. Well, shit. She said, then noticed Kakashi's expression and said, Don't look at me like that. The last time, you did nothing for Naruto or me. It was the Sannin who trained us. Sasuke had Orochimaru, I had Tsunade, and Naruto had Jiraiya. You only taught me how to climb trees. Water walking is something I learned on my own. Ebisu taught Naruto water walking, followed by Jiraiya. You did very little for us. My younger body has already become accustomed to me. So has Sasuke. All I can hope is that Naruto does so quickly. Hold on. Back then, what were your areas of expertise? Sakura turned to face him and said, I was a medical ninja, essentially a mini. Tsunade, trained in Genjutsu by Kurenai and Stamina by Guy. During my initial training, I had come dangerously close to death multiple times. I went all out during my training, as you can see at the end. I had been lazy for too long. Naruto? I was the only one who noticed that his specialty remained constant. His crazy endurance? No, the impossible is his specialty. Sakura responded, Sasuke, I couldn't tell you, as Naruto is the only one that went up against him often enough to give you an accurate analysis of his abilities. Ninja abilities for Naruto. His only jutsu are those for Shadow Clone Jutsu, Rasengan and its variations, and his summons, which isn't much, mind you. Well, that's about it. He certainly has a lot of stamina, but from what I understand, his jutsu library isn't all that impressive. Isn't he in dire need of assistance? He's 16 years old, but his development was slowed down from the first day of the academy, so I can't say that I'm shocked because he was only 15 when he learned about his Shadow Clone's full memory transfer capability, which he mostly utilized for wind manipulation training. It took him about a month to get it down. I was definitely singing a different tune about wind being able to cut water when he pulled it off, Sakura said, adding, even the waterfall, which I found somewhat ridiculous, to be honest. Your connection? Earth, accompanied by fire. Sakura said, I have some training in fire, but it's much weaker than earth. Naruto has wind, and that's all I really know. Sasuke possesses both lightning and fire. Other than that, I don't know. Sighing, Kakashi said, I think it's best if I quote the Nara. At least Sakura understood how you felt, so she said, don't bother. Although we would need to speak with Naruto, I believe we ought to switch up our regular training location. In my opinion, number 44 would be ideal. More confidentiality. Any other reason you chose that one? Kakashi asked, nodding. So, is it unreasonable for me to want to conceal what I have in my arsenal? I'm not sure about the others, but I'm not flaunting my knowledge if we're around other people, Sakura inquired. Indeed, Naruto became a bit more intelligent. But I'm not sure I can believe that he wouldn't want to flaunt himself. Until I see it, that is. We should continue to look like genin for the time being. And you're going to play the fool and fangirl when we get back? Kakashi nodded in agreement. Most likely, if only for privacy's sake. Nobody is permitted to know, not even the Hokage. Why shouldn't he be aware of it? For two reasons. To begin, which sounds more plausible? Was it a spy holding back, or time travel from the future? Second, if he knows, and I only know this because I was apprenticed under the Godem Hokage, Then he'll have to tell the council, Sakura said, receiving a nod. What would they think upon learning that Naruto is more powerful than he appears to be? Kakashi was stunned as he stood there, but he recognized her arguments. I genuinely understand the rationale behind each one. But I'll need to get more C ranks and play a more active role for you guys. Sakura suggested, if Takikakure gives us an escort mission, stay put and send a shadow clone if they remember you. You left us the last time, and we had to take care of some rogues then. Fortunately, Naruto persuaded their leader to have the guts to support his village. 3 things, in retrospect, define Naruto's identity. I'm listening. His specialties come first. Second, he is too unpredictable for the Sharingan, who know each other too well, with Sasuke being the only exception. Third, he possesses an innate talent that enables him to influence others to place bets on him and eventually alter their opinions. Sakura acknowledged. I actually stopped counting when he hit 100, to be honest. He's done so more times than I cared to count. With that one, I'm going to quote the Nara myself. Don't even go there. I didn't intend to say it. A whole clan provides us with enough. Sakura said, we don't need people copying them. Is there anything else I should know? A single step at a time. I suspect that Kumo's Jinchuriki training is connected to the note we sent him through Sakura Fist Express via Zabuza. If it wasn't immediately clear, they should understand what it means if he is the Raikage. He enjoys being clear about his intentions, as we all know. All right. You seem to be the more sensible of the 3, in my opinion. Prior to now, you were, though not as much physically. Yes. Nominate us for the upcoming Chunin exams in Konoha. We have some plans for that one, and in order to keep things on track from the previous time, we would need to be on the inside. In that one, I advanced to the preliminary round but lost to Ino via double knockout, while Sasuke and Naruto advanced to the finals. With a little something I think you'd like, I'm going to knock her out this time. I see, said Kakashi, nodding. Then, what are your ranks? I was Chunin. The second time I tried, with Ino and Choji, I was successful. Despite his one participation, Naruto remained a genin. Really? Why? About 3 months after the initial encounter, he left the village. He spent nearly 3 years away from the village while on a training trip with Jiraiya. After that, I suppose he didn't even realize he was still a genin. Everything just kind of blended together for him. Sasuke? If it helps, he went rogue as a genin even though he had no official rank. After Naruto returned, what exactly was going on with him? Kakashi inquired. She sent out a chakra pulse to find Zetsu and found one, but it quickly left after realizing it was spotted. Well, there was an organization called Akatsuki, which are after. She explained. They're after the Biju. They need the Jinchuriki to obtain them, but doing so would require keeping them alive. If they do, it will kill them. Why would they? Juubi. Sakura replied with a nod, Oshish. This would result in an incident that will have an impact. Sakura interrupted, saying, every nation. It did, and when they finally went down, there were only 2 Jinchuriki left. To give us a clear picture of their abilities, I would need to write down their names. You know what their names are? Kakashi inquired. The majority of them. The ones I would need are in Naruto's possession. To be honest, during the Akatsuki vs Shinobi Alliance war, I assisted with 3 of them while eliminating one. It's fortunate that Tsunade herself trained me. Akasuna no Sasori is the one I removed. He has a human puppet of the Sandame Kazekage, by the way. As a little extra, we could use that to improve relations between our villages. It's extremely tense right now and could spark a war given the correct motivation. When are the defenses of Konohagakure at their weakest? Kakashi's eyes widened. You mean? Yes, it so happens that Orochimaru is Otogakure's leader. He has most likely by now approached Sanagakure about forming an alliance to launch an assault on Konohagakure. Their economy has suffered as a result of missions to our village, so they will be more likely to attack. If we have anything to tell the Hokage, it's that. Additionally, he ought to bring Naruto along if he plans to speak. Why him? Sakura stated, because if there is anyone who can persuade them not to attack, he can. If we inform him, he will find a way to do so. Except in the event of a potential attack from them, no information should be shared. We can essentially avoid many unnecessary deaths if we can stop them from attacking before they do. After giving her a brief glance, Kakashi nodded and said, nice idea. However, how can you be certain that he can do that? He was able to win over the Sandame Tsuchikage, who were aware of his ancestry. I'm fairly certain he can accomplish this if he can accomplish that. He's got a good insider, too, Sakura said, receiving a nod. You know how much the old man wanted his father dead. We were brought back by Gaara, who is the Yondaime Keisage's son. He would be like insurance, you might say. That's got to be useful. I'm just spitballing ideas right now. To tell the truth, I'd let him handle everything. He can do the job far more effectively than I can, even though we both know very little about politics. Sasuke was the only person he failed to reach the previous time, and even he changed his mind after we were sent back. He redefines the phrase, iron will, and is the living embodiment of impossible. Well, that's probably all I should know and then some, Kakashi said, nodding. Unless all three of you agree, which would require unanimous consent, I'll keep the majority of it confidential. However, I will present Sasuke's remarks regarding his potential for rogue behavior to the Hokage, as well as his actions in the event that Naruto was not accepted for the role. Don't mention that he was a rogue the last time, Sakura said. It's better if that isn't mentioned, and was nodded. Let's go back. Sakura received a nod before they both departed, saying, the bridge should be finished within 4 days. Naruto had just entered the Uzumaki trials, as they were officially known. Kurama, are you awake? Yeah, but I have a little over 3 tails of Yuki right now. I'm tired as hell. I'll leave your chakra alone, and use mine to heal you as needed. Don't overexert yourself in here. I remember when the others I was in came here, and it was dangerous as hell. I wouldn't put it at Madara's level, but it's definitely high up there. However, I am not allowed to help you with anything but chakra. Healing is still a go, since it's my Yuki that heals you. Other than that, you're on your own in here. I'm sorry, but those are the rules of this area. Me healing you is the only loophole that I can exploit. All right, I get it. However, it would be beneficial to be aware of the regulations themselves. They are called trials for a reason. Everything has a reason. Aside from the no help, Biju count for a Jinchuriki, and summons are banned. The only other rule that has to be followed regards me and me alone. I am not allowed to say what's at the end. You saw that only 4 have completed this, but Kushina and Mito did not come out unscathed. Remember your training in your last life, for you will need everything you have. I also need to regenerate my Yuki, which will take a while. All right. Any advice? Only one. Don't die. Despite his sigh, Naruto nodded. He located a hallway and proceeded down it. The first room he found was plain. There was nothing in the room, no paintings, no furniture, just plainness. There were only 3 doors on the distant wall. There was 1 star above the one on the left, 2 in the middle, and 3 at the very end. The left door is the first one I have to go through, if the stars above the doors are any guide. There was no presence, but a voice could be heard in the room. Speak your name, whoever seeks the Uzumaki clan's trials. Naruto answered, Naruto Uzumaki. Namikaze. I take it you're a Jinchuriki? Despite some hesitation, Naruto nodded. Yes, I understand. It's your first test. Open door number 1. There was darkness after the blue light inside the door with the single star above it vanished. Something that appeared to be a burning demonic dog emerged from the shadows. Ifrit vs Naruto Uzumaki. Namikaze. A board with full color images of Ifrit's head and Naruto's face appeared. Between them was a gigantic versus. Get ready to fight. Ifrit roared, I'm gonna kill you. Naruto quickly dodged the flames that charged him with Fira, and created 2 shadow clones without using any hand signs or words. Stay still so I can hit you, Naruto responded. That's not going to make me stand still, you know. As he entered Sage mode after one of his shadow clones dispelled. Ifrit snarled. Faraga. A bigger flame rushed toward him, but he easily sidestepped it and found himself directly in front of it. Ifrit was smashed into the wall by Naruto's frog smash. Blow. Then Naruto had a thought that had not occurred to him. Each of the 2 additional shadow clones created a Rasengan in the original's hand. After it was formed, he slowly fused the 2, making it much larger than before and spiraling around him, with the Rasengan directly above his head. As soon as he found himself in that position, a memory of this exact action came to life. Kid, I can't believe you figured this out on your own. You used this when you went to Roron, and got sent back in time. That's good to know, Naruto said in his mind. After removing himself, Ifrit turned to face Naruto, who was surrounded by the spiral. You think that's going to stop me? He asked. Like a drill, Naruto leapt to his feet and charged Ifrit. Ryusei no Rasengan. Ifrit was caught off guard, and it struck him squarely, piercing his body like a drill. After coughing up blood, Ifrit collapsed to the ground and transformed into colored wisps that quickly made their way into Naruto's body. Naruto Uzumaki. Namikaze, you have my form and abilities. Go through my door now to claim your reward. Your next task will be more difficult than mine. After giving himself a mental nod, Naruto went through door 1 and discovered a scroll and a sword. He got a headache and lost his sage mode the instant he grasped the scroll, which glowed and gave him more knowledge than he had previously had. With a sigh, he strapped the sword to his back and picked it up. Ifrit, is that all? You can either continue or take a break. You only get 3 hours if you decide to rest. He sat down to meditate after Naruto answered, I choose to rest. After 3 hours of use, he emerged in sage mode. There was still one clone of him out there. He went to the center after leaving the room. Challenge 2. Ifrit knew exactly what it meant when his face appeared on the board, but it was actually a version of him. Minato Namikaze emerged through the second door, which opened in the same manner as the first. Naruto gazed at him, somewhat taken aback but resolute, as his eyes opened. 2-san. Naruto, said Minato. You've grown a bit. But, why am I here, and where's the Kyuubi? Relax, Dad. I already know you sealed the Kyuubi, and sealed your own chakra in me, along with my mother's chakra. I have started the Uzumaki trials, and you seem to be the second challenge I have to face, said Naruto. By the way, I upgraded the Rasengan. You did? Blinked Minato. Well, I can't say I'm surprised. I was actually hoping you would. Who taught it to you? Naruto let out a sigh. Whoever's governing this, do you mind if we have a talk before we begin? Excellent. You have half an hour. Naruto let out a sigh. 2-san. There's a lot I want to tell you, and not enough time to go through it all, so I'll just tell you the most important things. First, I don't blame you for what you did. Minato's expression turned shocked. You don't? I knew that I should, but after I thought about it, I realized that, had I been in your position, I would have done the same. Thank you. For what? Not blaming you for what you did? Not blaming the villagers for their ignorance of your last wish? Minato felt anxious. Or how about still loving them, and you, despite the fact that they hated me to the bone for what you did to me? I could go on and on, but you get the idea. Hey. I really need to think twice on what I do, sometimes. But once I come up with something, unless it's highly important, I don't think about anything else that can work. Do you? Do you know of what happened on your birthday? Naruto gave a nod. That and more. He is really no one, but he claims to be Madara Uchiha. He's after the Juubi, so he can bring an unlimited amount of fear, thus causing peace. The way he put it, and what he is doing to bring about peace will not bring true peace. Only acceptance through fear. Jiraiya. He had a student by the name of Nagato. He also desires peace, and blindly follows the fake Madara. Very few know that he is only a fake, but that doesn't change the fact that he's a threat to everyone. Minato gave a nod. He sighed, I see. Naruto, there's something you should know. Something about my side of the family that no one knows about. No one knows this, but I have a relative that's alive. Naruto felt anxious. I never saw him, nor do I know where he was after I went to Konoha, but I know where he is now, and he does not seem aware of your existence. He has a death wish, and constantly fights with ninja, even if he's severely outmatched. From what I have found out, he has been alive for so long, and wishes for someone else to kill him, not commit suicide. He doesn't even know about me. He doesn't even know about me. I only found out about him after I had died, said Minato. By the way, there are several ways to control the Kyuubi. Naruto shocked him by interrupting. His name is Kurama, and we've made peace between each other. Minato questioned, Kurama? The Kyuubi has a name? With a start? What? You think you wouldn't? No, it never occurred to me that a being made entirely of chakra would have been given a name. Minato acknowledged. I guess I'm a little too rooted into humanity, huh? Naruto waved him away, saying, Don't worry, I had the same reaction. Although, at least you admitted that you didn't think much on it. However, no one but the Hachibi Jinchuriki, myself, and the Biju know of this. Well, that would make sense. For a bit. Why would you want to call him by that, though? Naruto stated, because the majority of humans are ignorant. I'm sorry to say this, but it's true. There are times when I am ignorant myself, but at least I admit I am. I can't really give out a name of someone else that I've met who has. I'm human. I make mistakes. I have emotions. Unlike most, however, I admit them when I realize I was wrong. Most of the time. When it came to Sasuke, I was delusional, at best. I was hoping he'd change. I was a fool to think he would. If he leaves again, I will not hesitate to kill him like I did last time. He's got one chance. Well, looks like you did some good growing up after all. I'm proud of you, my son, said Minato. Oh yeah. Quick question. When I'm pissed off at someone, I feel Kurama raging, but at the same time, there's another part of me. Stirring, I think that's the word. It feels like, well, nothing. It appears to be there, but it isn't. Do you know what it is? Have you attempted drawing on it before? With interest in his voice, Minato inquired. No, and I'm unsure whether I ought to. Naruto acknowledged. I asked Kurama about it, but he hasn't mentioned it, so I haven't brought it up to him since. I think it's like a bloodline, but I can't be sure. After a brief period of silence, Minato said, do you think you could try to access it? Naruto shrugged and considered a number of ideas, but they all swiftly departed, leaving only one that lingered. Emptiness. Nothing. A place that was empty but full of power, the power of nothing. Naruto found it after a few more thoughts along those lines surfaced, and then he charged his chakra, which initially appeared blue but then changed. The chakra's feel was still present and in the same concentration, but it just vanished. Well, that's what it was. With a blank expression on his face, Minato closed his eyes and sighed, saying, it's unbelievable that you, of all people, triggered the void element. Even I didn't wake that one, really. Naruto's eyes widened. You mean? Yes. The Hiraishin was my closest attempt, but it was really a shortcut to the void element. It is a feature of the Namikaze clan. I never even used it. I'm happy I could watch you use it. My motivations for creating the Hiraishin are only known to me. The first was to establish myself as a human being rather than the last member of my clan. It was a foolish wish. Additionally, Naruto said, tell me about it. Learning how to use the void element myself was the second reason. That was how I got around the fact that I could never use the void element. Anything else? Naruto nodded. All right. Minato sheepishly acknowledged. The last reason was to impress your mother, but other than that, no. His expression then became slightly inquisitive once more. You find someone to like? Naruto reddened. You do, then. Who is it, may I ask? I'm going to say this straight out. Naruto sighed. Minato blinked, and Naruto saw, and they both burst out laughing. All right, now I'll tell you. This is too troublesome. Hinata is her name. She has sacrificed her life for me and is the heiress of the Hyuga clan. The problem is that she only did it because she loved me, and I was too stupid to realize it. For my part, I attribute that to being an orphan. Kushina was kind of the same way, Minato said, nodding. Although I didn't know how she felt, I knew I liked her. I started to notice little things, but I held myself back so as not to pressure her into a relationship. Like what she liked, what she didn't like, places she wanted to go, dreams she had, stated Naruto. Yes, things like that. They will take care of you as long as you are able to see and hear those things. Learn about them. Not their body. Alright, knowing that is a plus. Naruto said, I know all that and more. However, I will confess that I had to do a little bit of obtaining some of the information by following. It wasn't for the body. Right away, he said, really. Ero, Sennin, Kakashi, Sensei, and the old man all give me enough perversion. I don't have to make it any more. And what exactly did you find out? Minato grinned. That's something you'll have to learn later. Naruto paused, then grinned and said, what about my void element? All of the void element jutsu used by the Namikaze clan are documented in my library. I could have used Hiraishin without seals if I had the void element. It was possible, really. Hiraishin was an element of lightning. But according to legend, it came from a demon, though nobody is certain which one it was. It was just that. At this point, Naruto grabbed his head. Naruto. Dude, what was that for, Kurama? After the trials are over, I'll update you. I'd advise you to go to a remote location when you have at least 3 days off, and I'll show you the only demon with the void element. He will train for it more effectively than I can. Oh, all right. Do you have a name for him? He's called many names, but the one I use is Sanka. It appears that I may have a teacher for it. I'll find out what I can from him once I learn the jutsu our clan left behind, Naruto said. Nodding, Minato said, well, that's good. Quick question. To what extent do you practice fuinjutsu? No skill. Naruto looked down. I guess you can't win them all. Naruto turned to face him. Listen carefully, Naruto. Of all the ninja arts, fuinjutsu is by far the most intricate and hazardous. Hell, it would be less dangerous than fuinjutsu even if I used 6 taels worth of Kyuubi's Yuki for 5 hours straight. This caused Naruto's eyes to widen. And you were always supposed to be a seal master. I definitely had nothing on the Uzumaki clan. When it came to sealing, they were always a natural. I would only be a novice in their eyes. Along with all the Namikaze clan jutsu, I left a book on fuinjutsu. I would have to inherit it, wouldn't I? That's what you would expect, wouldn't you? That's not where it's at all, Minato said with a grin reminiscent of foxes. Everything is in a shack that only you, my son, can enter. He stopped smiling. Are you proficient with a weapon other than the standard shuriken and kunai? I began with a katana, but I quickly made a mistake. Why? Minato added, I also have a small armory there. All of my clan jutsu, including the Hiraishin, is kept there. It also housed all of the Uzumaki's fuinjutsu, though the ones there are only copies of what Kushina was aware of, which turned out to be quite a bit. Fortunately, I can create up to 1,500 shadow clones. It would be easier to learn about them that way. Although it won't make drawing them simpler, it will broaden my understanding of the subject. Then Minato nodded and said, just know that it's dangerous to do that. When you dispel upwards of 700 at once, I kind of discovered that meditation helps. It sort of relieves the mental strain and enables me to review everything more thoroughly. I'm so happy that the Toads taught me Senjutsu. You wouldn't believe how much their training aided me. Battle Mode 0999. It's time. Get ready to fight. The hell? There are no rules as a result. Fight to the death, all out. And he's on his way. As soon as his war time instincts took over, Naruto ducked. Kurama, do you think you could get me access to Sage Mode? Now you ask that? Kurama fell silent, and then Naruto felt it. The nature chakra entered his body through the seal, not from the outside. He blinked, and his eyes turned gold, with a horizontal bar for a pupil. Minato saw, but wasn't shocked because he had mentioned learning Senjutsu. Minato leapt to his feet and threw several kunai, all of which struck the ground but didn't hit Naruto. Wait. If he's going that route, let's see if I can do that with the void element, Naruto thought, in a quandary. What should I do? Naruto then concentrated on his void element and charged it into his cells rather than anything outside of his body, saying, just watch, and you'll see. You know I think up things on the spot that work. Minato then started using the Hiraishin, but he was shocked when it failed to cut Naruto. After a few more rounds, he still hadn't been scratched, but he hadn't moved. Alright, I'll purchase. How did you accomplish this? In essence, I'm channeling the void chakra to my cells, enabling them to phase through attacks. I'm not sure if I can move like this, but I can continue for a while with my reserves. It's similar to Madara's Sharingan jutsu, I believe. Replicating a jutsu concept using your own resources. I think that sounds like the Sharingan. I think we can call this jutsu emulation. If I can pull this off, then I'm not using a dojutsu, but he did, so there are some differences between what I did and what he did. When Minato noticed that Naruto was not moving or hurting, she abruptly stopped her rounds and asked, how are you doing this? How come you don't have the Sharingan and you're not Madara? I suppose you may say. I'm practicing one of his jutsu techniques, Naruto said, one he used with his Sharingan, and then he vanished into thin air. Genjutsu. Kai, Minato thought, but Naruto didn't return. What? How did he? Minato used the Genjutsu release. You could say I'm experimenting with void chakra. Naruto grabbed Minato's face and threw him against the wall, causing him to twist and land on his feet before turning to face Naruto. I must say I'm impressed. He made a Rasengan, but what really caught his attention was that his hand was right through his left lung. Seeing what was happening, Naruto created 2 shadow clones and created a wind element Rasengan that was not the Rasen Shuriken but was quite similar. Minato forgot about the Hiraishin and charged at Naruto. Rasengan. Rasengan, Fuden. When they collided, Minato's arm failed first, injuring his whole right arm. Looks like you did upgrade it. Wait. How come I haven't left Sage Mode yet? I've exceeded the time limit. That wasn't even the finished form. His Sage Mode ought to have ended by now. I would be that person. Like I would with my own chakra, I'm controlling it. I'm always collecting the nature chakra and sending it to you because my Yuki is still apart from me. Thanks, man. That's convenient, just don't disappoint me. After Minato attempted a punch, Naruto used his void chakra to phase through him, and he found himself squatting behind Minato with his hands in the tiger seal. Leaf Village Hidden Taijutsu. Fuden. 1,000 Years of Death. He made a huge crater in the ceiling by pushing his fingers up Minato's ass and sending him flying. Why did you just? I apologize, but I couldn't help myself. You know, the old prankster in me wanted to do something. All right. I can't claim that he wasn't worthy. You're correct, too. It was somewhat amusing. You ought to begin incorporating your skill at pulling practical jokes into your combat plans. Oh, why didn't I consider that? You mean, have you never considered doing that? I never really connected the dots, but you're right, that's a smart idea, because I could scare the TI division without your help with just a few pranks. Imagine what I could do in a fight if I used my pranking skills for one. Well, how about we find out? Happy. Eyeing his father, Naruto grinned and said, "You know, I just got a few ideas, and right now, I'm dying to try them out. I better be ready for something completely humiliating if he's anything like me when I get that same look on my face," Minato thought. Then, using his void chakra once more, Naruto disappeared, making Minato cautious. Then, all of a sudden, Naruto emerged, and Minato removed him, exposing him as a shadow clone, in which 3 others appeared. He removed them, and 9 appeared. "Damn it, every time I take out one, 3 more appear in its place," Minato said. "What's wrong? Can't fight what you can't see?" inquired Naruto. He spoke in a voice that was everywhere. Minato glanced around before being sliced by a clone that materialized and then swiftly vanished. He was only able to capture it because of his high speed. "How are you doing this?" Naruto's voice echoed, void combined with wind. Devastating combo, am I correct? Minato answered, "Yes, quite. And now I realize I stand no chance. I give up." Naruto Uzumaki. Namikaze is the winner. Minato Namikaze has forfeited. After that, Naruto showed up with 30 shadow clones, all of whom were in Sage mode, but Naruto left it, and the clones vanished. "What gives?" Naruto inquired. "However, I don't think you'll need much else. With a combo like that, I'd call you Shadow Warrior, or something," Minato said. "Pick up the things from inside by going through the door I used to enter. You can select one weapon, and all the scrolls have been transferred to the Namikaze Armory, as I call it," Minato said after Naruto nodded and proceeded to do so, but he discovered a large number of scrolls. "Take caution. The weapon you choose will become spiritually bound to you. Like Samahata in Kirigakure, it will only be usable by you. The Sword of Kisame. Kurama. What the hell is this?" Naruto walked around examining the weapons, but he noticed something odd about one of them. "Naruto. Take it and use your dominant hand, ironically, your right hand, to grab it." "Why just the dominant one? It's either that, or grab it with both of them at the same time, but it's easier to use one hand." "And when did I start taking the easy route?" Point. Naruto simultaneously grabbed it with both hands, but he let out a loud scream as he felt Kurama's Yuki in the void element move into his arms, combining to cause excruciating pain in both of them. "Shit. When I fused with that thing, I forgot how painful it is. Just so you know, I'm holding you accountable for that. Stop talking for a moment and concentrate on taking it in. We must successfully complete the fusion, or else a negative outcome could occur. Want to go into more detail? I would if I could." "Alright. What happened?" Naruto then concentrated on the power in his arms, dulling the pain until it stopped completely. Both hands appeared different. "Good, everything went smoothly." As Naruto inspected his hands, Kurama said, "Naruto, meet your devil arms." His fingers had changed into a fox's claws, and each one had a small orange spot on the palms, as well as what appeared to be an eye on the backs of the palms, though they were both closed. "Alright, so what is a devil arm?" Kurama said, "What I'm wondering is how the hell he had one here." Minato gave him a look. "Well, what just took place? They vanished at that moment. Apparently, I chose the devil arm, and grabbed it with both hands." Naruto answered, "Now I just need to know how to." Apparently, they have a similar effect to the claws when using the tailed beast cloak. Naruto imagined them to appear, and they did. They can appear and disappear on thought, apparently. Naruto discovered himself outside and in the arena. You can use it for long-range grapples. It's your last test, Naruto Uzumaki. Namikaze. You have proven yourself against a beast that you have absorbed, defeating your father. Finally, let's see what this is. Don't tell me I have to beat my dark side again. Whatever Naruto had anticipated, this wasn't it. He was the one who emerged from the 3-star door. Dark Naruto, as he was known, was the other one that Naruto glanced at. "So, what have you been doing?" "You are me, and I am you," Naruto said. "That's something you should know already." "Oh, really? I believe that I am the real you, and you are just a facade. You need a reality check, please. I've changed since a few days ago," Naruto shot back. "Oh, and you left your friends behind a few days ago. Face it," said Dark Naruto. "You allowed them to die. All you are is a fool and a coward. You ought to defend yourself alone." "On one point, you are correct. I did disappoint them. For the simple reason that they wouldn't even let me know the specifics. I wasn't present when they began. Of course, I had to find out for myself. I wasn't going back into hiding, though, when I did find out. I'm going to fight with my friends." What if they turn on you? Then they weren't a true friend anyway, unless they regret trying to, but even then, I would still forgive them if they apologize. Even Sasuke? There would be much more for him to do. In case you didn't realize, I went back in time 4 years, Naruto said, perplexing his dark half, if those events actually mattered at this point. Naruto said, this means they're all alive and none of that crazy shit has happened yet. A coward? Would I have faced Madara without a plan if I were a coward? Given that my chances of surviving pain were at best remote, would I have accepted the challenge? At the Falls of Truth, would I have prevailed over you? What about? You're ignoring me if you're referring to my stupid naivete. Even though it hasn't happened yet, Sasuke's actions made me realize how harsh life is. Not everyone wants to change. Prior to that, I was stupid. I believed he was capable of change. He slaughtered my naivety the instant he killed Hinata. I should give him credit for that. You would give him credit for killing a loved one? Who was your lover? No, that is something I would never forgive him for. But I'm grateful to him for the result of that action. Even though it was severe, I took a lesson from it. What would be the lesson, then? As Dark Naruto assumed a taijutsu stance, he asked. If someone is unwilling to accept assistance, nobody is able to assist him. They won't change until they accept it. Dark Naruto sneered at that, but a portion of his hand dwindled. I learned something else from all of this. Change is sometimes necessary. And then there's the Hinata issue. More of him faded. Most of the good things in life are never liked, or even accepted. She may be extremely shy at the moment, but at least I know she's still alive. That's sufficient for me. Dark Naruto's body was rapidly deteriorating. The last lesson learned from all of that is that people tend to take the smallest things for granted. I appreciate every sunrise and sunset because I am aware of this. I always have. All that remained of Dark Naruto was his mouth. You go by. Let your chakra flow with its own will. Do not force it, but guide it. That is the only advice I can give you. At this point, the lips vanished and a vapor entered Naruto's mouth, causing him to gag for a while before letting up. Naruto sighed. Naruto Uzumaki. Namikaze, you have successfully completed the 3 Uzumaki clan trials, but your prize is not yet here. You mean that it's not here? But what about all the things in those rooms? The reward has been moved to another location, so it is not here. The entrance to your prize is 20 feet below the castle in the town of Tanzaku, which is now part of Fire Country. However, be advised that humans are not welcome there because it is the realm of Makai, which is the entrance to its main market. Hold on. Makai? The realm of demons? Naruto inquired. Naruto. For us, this works. From there, we can easily get to Sanka. Additionally, we had previously decided to use Tanzaku as a meeting place for your team. Sanka has my old sword, which I could also give to you. All right. When I have a chance, I'll go there, Naruto said. Is there anything else I should know? You don't want to know about the trials you just endured? I can't claim that I'm not, but that isn't significant at the moment. Right now, getting back to my friends is all that matters. If I ever have to worry about the trials, I can do so later. Excellent. The door opened. Go now, you're finished. After giving a nod, Naruto returned to the corridor. A full hour after Naruto entered Whirlpool Island. You want to say something about him? Mei asked, glancing at the nearby Junin. No, ma'am. I'm simply, one of them said, I don't know why you are so interested in him. Mei said nothing. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. All I can conclude is that Naruto Uzumaki is the one who will either save us or bring about our destruction. Thank you very much. I would much rather be on his good side. When Naruto emerged and saw them, he said, I thought you'd be gone after 4 or 5 hours. What are you saying? Only an hour has passed, Mei inquired. Meh, probably a time warp, Naruto said, blinking. The timing of that is different. Space. If you don't mind asking. I apologize, but I'm not permitted to reveal what was inside. Mei was surprised when Naruto faded, but she looked back and saw him smiling. You could say I copied him and can use his jutsu without his means. Thanks for showing me this, she said. However, I have a favor for you. Okay. Actually, two. Does flirting and me have anything to do with it? Mei inquired. No, I need to let my team know that I must go straight to Tanzaku and that I will be in another location that will assist me if they don't see me there. What about the other? Take names and kick ass, but if nothing else, I would like a small alliance. In the upcoming Chunin exams as well as for the Jinchuriki, primarily. If you can, that would be great, Naruto said. You mean Konohagakure's next one? Why? Mei inquired. During a finals event, I believe the Hokage could benefit from your assistance. You, Gaara, and I are the only people alive who are capable of reversing the Edo Tensei. After battling the Shodai and Naidame, the Sandaime Hokage, as I recall, died from a sword wound to his back. We know a lot about Edo Tensei now that it was made public. I'm not sure if there's a difference, but it makes sense that control would be more difficult the more souls that are called forth. If just 2 are called upon, it would be pointless to return their old humanity. Mei concluded for him, meaning removing the soul from the body or sealing the soul are the only possibilities. Exactly. Even though there is a way to accomplish this without your assistance, everyone would benefit if we did. Iwa would love to attack without a Hokage, even if there were no forces available. If they do, complete chaos would break out, leading to a world war rather than a ninja war, and you could bid farewell to the balance of all 5 countries. Naruto said, but we must keep in mind who we're really dealing with. Anything less than that would be generous, at best. Until he has all the cards in his hand, he probably won't do anything. Oh, and what should we do, in your opinion? I recently came up with an idea with Kurama's help. He continued. Kyuubi. She smiled. I'll be spending some time coming up with strategies that would work out for a team that shouldn't have been put together in the first place, but is now reformed for the time being. Mei raised an eyebrow at the nod she got and said, unless I'm mistaken, you weren't the best when it came to strategic planning. So why would you do that? Have you ever questioned how I managed to accomplish things without giving them any thought? I usually think of plans on the fly. My best work is done on the spot. Are you curious as to why? Naruto inquired. What would that have to do with anything? One of the Junin asked, raising an eyebrow. Naruto retorted, it has everything to do with it. How many people have you met who, despite being the worst student in the academy, can say they could frighten the head of the TI department? The Junin were surprised when Mei said, 5. And why were they frightened? Because they might endanger their lives? Or a danger to everything they value, including their pride and dignity? Mei said, before glancing thoughtfully, life only. You fall under one of them, don't you? Which one? To everyone's surprise, Naruto said, I fall under the latter. I never killed anyone, and honestly, my first kill would have been Sasuke. I killed them, so they didn't fear me. No, that was thoroughly refuted. In Konoha, I'm known for a number of things. The majority of them are merely labels. There are currently 2 that I have earned. Mei gave a nod and motioned for him to go on. You are already aware of the second one I acquired. He paused and said, you've been to Konohagakure, right? The most unpredictable hyperactive ninja. Mei nodded in agreement. The other one I gained while I was in the academy. Yes, but why? The monument to Hokage. Are you aware of its size? Another nod. How many academy students do you think could paint the entire thing in the middle of the day while wearing a bright orange jumpsuit and not be discovered until they were done? That would be downright impossible. A Junin replied. I mean, even a Chunin would have a problem with that. No way. Mei said, her eyes widening as she turned to face Naruto, who had a foxy grin on his face. Yes, I did just that, Naruto said, and then outran the village's Junin and Anbu before getting caught by the only person who could ever catch me, and to believe that he taught Chunin. Where Anbu failed, a Chunin succeeded. Where the Hokage failed, he succeeded. I mean, if I'm trying to escape, he's the only one who can find me. As Naruto put it, even the Hyuga clan with their Byakugan or the Uchiha clan with their Sharingan can't find me if I don't want to be found by anyone. What other way do you think I could enter the Hyuga clan estate, have sex, and then leave without anyone noticing? You carried that out? Mei asked in utter surprise. Yes, and it's the largest thing I've ever done by far. What would happen, in your opinion, if I combined all of my pranking experience into a strategy booklet? Or more importantly, how dangerous would something like that be to someone who seriously underestimates me because of my rank or age? Inquired Naruto. The Junin saw that Mei was shivering unconsciously and shuddered at the thought as well. Now you see what I mean? Alternatively, the logic of it? With that out of the way, she nodded. And now that. Do you have any food? A couple of the Junin expressed their displeasure. Mei laughed and gave him a rather large chicken leg, which he accepted and devoured almost as fast as ramen. You must have been really hungry. No, I always eat ramen this way. He widened his eyes and said, after my trip with Arrow. Senin. I totally forgot about him, shish. T. Mei was perplexed, as was everyone else. I apologize, but I have to leave. Oh, and pay attention, Mei. Chan. Mei blinked at the suffix. Especially if you're at a body of water by yourself or in a hot spring. You see, there's a reason I call Jiraiya Arrow. Senin. Thanks for the food, and I think I'll do fine with food after a bit of gambling in Tanzaku, Naruto said as he stood up. Are you certain you won't require assistance to get there? Mei inquired. Tengaku is in fire country, Naruto said, adding, think about it. All of you are mist shinobi. The locals probably won't welcome you. In addition, I have previously visited Tanzaku. My best option would be to appear at the top of the castle, which I know is still standing today. A Junin asked, what do you mean by, before noticing Naruto had stepped behind him, that? I've been able to successfully recreate a Mangekyo Sharingan jutsu. I make use of it in different ways. Until I entered the room, I was unaware that I could use it. Not to mention how. I could use it to appear there instantly if I'm right, Naruto said. I'm going now, Mei-chan. I'm going to spend some time at the gambling dens before moving on to my next stop. No one there seemed to sense a chakra pulse, and Mei nodded before Naruto faded out. How did he? There was no chakra. No, it was. Mei said, Gozobora, go to Wave Country and inform the Konohagakure team that Naruto has already traveled to Tanzaku, then meet up with us back at the base. It simply didn't pulse. He departed in a shunshin, saying, yes ma'am. The others headed for Water Country. Tansaku, 500 Ryu, huh? Well, let's see if my luck is the same. Naruto thought as he jumped down, using wind chakra to slow his descent. That still works. Good. He then walked around and found one of the gambling dens and went in, approaching a blackjack table and saying, I see you have an open spot. Naruto appeared on the roof of Tanzaku Castle, overlooking the nearby town, and took out his toad, which contained a small amount of money. Would you mind if I joined? How much do you have? 500 Ryu. That's all. Jutsu is not permitted. The dealer declared, that's the only rule in this casino. Good to know. Naruto looked up. I can tell you're a shinobi, or you're retired if you aren't anymore. I'm retired. Like you, even as a dealer, I am subject to the no jutsu rule. Then know that no one has been able to cheat in a game with me, and unlike most, I rather play with honor, like a samurai, than with deceit, like a ninja, replied Naruto. In response, the dealer said, good to know. Minimum? 100. The other three on the board received 18, 19, and 10. The first one remained at 19, the second one remained at 18, and the third one hit at 10 and received a 2. Hit. Jack. Bust. Naruto then placed 100 Ryu and received a hand. With 2 5s, Naruto chose to split, releasing an additional 100. 1 5 resulted in a 6, making 11. Hit. Queen. 21. After paying his money, the dealer said, damn, and then proceeded to work on the other hand, receiving a 9 with the other 5. Hit. A 7 then appeared, bringing the total to 21. After a few more rounds, Naruto continued to win and stood up, saying, sorry, but I think I've had enough of blackjack. The dealer revealed his other card, which added up to 20. Naruto had already been paid, and the others had lost their money. Is there any poker here? Did not see that coming. The dealer nodded and gestured to the poker tables, where he discovered someone he had not expected to meet. He went to that table because someone had just left, and his balance had increased from 500 Ryu to well over 50,000 Ryu. Would you mind if I joined? The dealer said, sure thing, kid. Naruto sat down and took out his cards, which were Texas Hold'em. Since he now had the big blind, he put in 50 Ryu. He then checked his cards and said, check. He was observing a blonde with pigtails, and of them, only the blonde, Naruto, and another remained. Naruto had a jack, 8 of diamonds, and the blonde, who we all know as Tsunade, but Naruto hasn't been given a name yet, at least not officially, bet 60. Fold. It was between the blondes now, and Naruto's answer was, call. Diamonds are 7 and 10. 9 of clubs, said the dealer. Tsunade said, bet, and then threw in 60. Naruto threw in 100 and said, raise. Tsunade said, call. This dealer said, 9 of diamonds. Tsunade said, check. 50 Ryu in from Naruto says, bet. Call. The dealer said, 10 of spades. Bet. She had 50 Ryu after investing 1,000. With all of his remaining funds, Naruto responded, all in. Tsunade answered, I can't match that. Naruto said, then why not make it more interesting? I'm listening. For starters, you already know I'm from Konohagakure, as I know you can see my headband. Naruto stated. I know that, so if you're here to convince me to return. Naruto answered, no, I don't really want you to come back. Not just yet, anyhow. But there's something you can do for me, And you can also give me something else. What would that be, then? You teach me chakra control if I win. I also receive that necklace. What if I succeed? Tsunade inquired. Naruto declared, I give you all the money I earned today. By this point, he would have earned well over 50,000 Ryu. And what I gain from this round is part of that. You can't be getting just that from it. You can learn control from anyone, really. Even though I think I've mastered the Rasengan to some extent, my control is still terrible. I could spend hours fighting on a lake. Nevertheless, I have never been able to carry out a typical clone. I need perfect control. You're probably the only person who can assist me with that at this time, Naruto said. Deal, Tsunade said, staring at him. You got a deal as long as I don't have to come back. Although I won't make any promises if I have to find you again, Naruto declared. I don't go back on my word. I don't need to bring you back this time. With a nod, Tsunade said, show him. She displayed an 8 of spades and a 6 of clubs, saying, straight. Straight flush. Naruto flashed his jack, 8 of diamonds, grinning. Looks like win. Tsunade's eyebrow raised as Naruto said, we should continue this elsewhere. She gave him a grim nod, and the two of them stood up and departed. Alright brat, before I train you at all, I need to see your level, Naruto said as they approached the castle and entered a nearby giant field. The same one where Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru had fought. Control was all I asked for. To be honest, you can't really help me with ninjutsu. You are not an expert in ninjutsu. You are a medical ninja. I believe that's Jiraiya's specialty. Naruto muttered the final line under his breath, but Tsunade managed to hear it. Damn pervert. Tsunade said, that damn toad sage is a pervert. I'm starting to like you, Gaki. Anyway, how do you know that? Naruto responded, lying but telling the truth, ran into him a few times. He was in trouble with the kunoichi in Konoha each time. Really, that guy needs to learn some manners from someone. If that's all you can really say about him, then you and I are going to get along pretty well, Tsunade said with a smile. Naruto answered, well, he identified himself as the Toad Sage, so I would probably call him Arrow. Sennin the next time I see him, doesn't that fit? Tsunade gave him a look and laughed, saying, well, you're a really nice person to be around. When your control improves, what do you intend to do? It doesn't take a genius to realize that you despise the village for something they did to you, but Naruto retorted, unless you visit the village, I don't really see a reason to tell you, as it deals with said village. Something that turned you into a walking corpse and caused you emotional pain. What are you discussing? Tsunade inquired angrily, but Naruto appeared unconcerned. You see it. I see a flash of pain when the subject is brought up. Although it is only present for a brief moment, it remains. I can see the truth, no matter how hard you try to deny it. Because of what they did to you, you despise it. It's not important right now, Naruto sighed. As for what it was, I'd say you lost someone close to you, but I can't say for sure. I have to get my control up as high as I can in the limited amount of time I have. Alright, since you already state you can walk on water with ease for hours, let's see you do something else. Tsunade's eyes were sad, primarily because she was so easily seen through, but she quickly brushed it off. Tsunade picked a few leaves and said, this is an oak leaf, and Naruto nodded. This leaf should be spun precisely 3 inches above your hand's palm. If you understand the Rasengan at least a little, it should be easy. After about an hour, Naruto managed to get it down. Keeping it at a certain distance was pretty hard. Obviously. To spin over a finger, add another one now. Once you are able to do so, you keep adding leaves until you have one on each finger and palm. After that, you do both at the same time and add them to the other hand. Try spinning the leaves in the opposite direction, changing direction every 30 seconds, while maintaining their position, until you have 12 leaves floating precisely 3 inches from each spot. After that, you'll fully understand this. It would likely take a week to complete everything if it took you an hour to complete one. With a sigh, Naruto said, I don't have a week. I have 3 days at most. Thus, I'll have to go express, I suppose. After Tsunade arched an eyebrow, Naruto made a hand gesture that she instantly recognized. Mass Shadow Clone Jutsu. Tsunade stared at him in disbelief as 1,000 shadow clones materialized. How is it possible to create so many shadow clones? Tsunade inquired. Water walking hasn't helped me for the same reason. Before addressing the clone, Naruto said, leaf exercise. Start with 2 leaves. My reserves are too large for my own good. All right. In response, they all yelled. As the clones worked on chakra control, Naruto took that opportunity to sit down beside Tsunade, who spoke first. What made you ask for my assistance? Anyone could have given you that exercise. Unfortunately, most people in my village despise me. Even though there hasn't been an attack in years, people still despise me for something that is beyond my control. One that I've accepted, Naruto said, adding, they even impeded my advancement in the academy and refused to teach me if I asked. My graduation process is the only reason I'm as good as I am. What are you saying? Tsunade inquired. All right. Although only 2 of them were listed as failed, I had actually failed the graduation exams 3 times. Naruto paused and said, one of my senseis mentioned there was a make-up exam, which is why I passed the 3rd time. I suppose you could say that I was a little desperate after failing to graduate 3 times, and I failed to see through the trap he set. Tsunade informed him, there isn't supposed to be a make-up exam. In any case, the test itself was straightforward in theory, and Naruto said, at the time, I didn't really care. To obtain the Forbidden Scroll of Seals, I had to enter the Hokage Tower covertly. I then had to use it to learn a jutsu. I learned this jutsu from it. The jutsu of the mass shadow clone. As soon as I managed to pull it off, one of the other teachers discovered me. Even though it took me 4 hours to finish, I succeeded. The person who told me about it then showed up and attempted to murder me for the same reason that everyone detested me. He killed me and went rogue with the scroll after setting me up. One of the few people who ever showed me genuine concern, Iruka Sensei, carried a Fuma Shuriken to his back on my behalf. After a while, I became so angry that he was going to kill Iruka Sensei that I created perhaps 1000 shadow clones and severely beat him. I then received my diploma. Gosh, child. It sounds like a strange life. Naruto waved her away, saying, I'm used to it. How about you? Naruto sighed as Tsunade continued to tell the tale of her brother Nawaki and her lover Dan, saying, I assume they both aspired to be Hokage? Naruto inquired. Why are you asking? Naruto said, it seems that the 3 of us share something in common. That's also my dream. However, it's not truly motivated by self-interest. Do you know what a Hokage should do? Tsunade tensed. At all costs, keep the village safe. Even if it means your own life. Either because they went out as Hokage or because of that dream, everyone who was ever close to me passed away. They always give up something. It's a stupid job. According to Naruto, maybe so. But then again, I've been called a fool for a while. But what do you really see when you see a village? The structures? The monuments? What constitutes a village? Everything that can be seen. Tsunade gazed at Naruto as he said, a village cannot prosper without its inhabitants. Protecting a village is nothing more than protecting a life. Without any human beings, it is possible to rebuild the building. Monuments can be made better. There is no way to restore lost lives without the legendary Rinnegan. However, since it's an old legend, nobody can say whether it's true or not. You must defend the village's residents in order to defend the village. You must want to protect them whether you like them or not. However, why would you defend them if they detested you? Tsunade inquired, utterly perplexed. Just because they are mistaken about me, but I don't hold them accountable for something they don't know much about. I believe that the most intricate ninja art is Fuinjutsu. Then why don't you bring me back with you? She sighed. As the saying goes, a horse can be led to water, but it cannot be made to drink. Some people simply refuse to go back or don't think it's worth it. Particularly if they have unpleasant memories of the location. Naruto acknowledged, what matters is whether or not one has the guts to confront and overcome that pain. Life won't wait for you, even though it will hurt for a while. Nobody is ever waiting for it. Hey, you remind me of the 4th, you know. Though foolish, it makes sense. He is the only Hokage I have some respect for. Naruto did a double take and said, hell, if I didn't know any better, you could very well be his son. If he had a child, then I'd stick with them. However, he only had a girlfriend and never got married. In my opinion, that is the reason he was reckless. What if I were his son, too? Then I'd stay away from the village, but I would be sending you a few things from time to time. How are you going to do that? Naruto inquired. Tsunade said, I'm not facing my problems, sure. If I can't make it somewhere, my slugs can bring messages and presents. However, sooner rather than later is when I would have to do it. I never told you my full name, did I? Naruto nodded. Tsunade shook her head and blinked. After searching the area for anyone, he sighed and said, the name's Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. Namikaze. Son of Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze, also known as Kyuubi no Yoko or the Jinchuriki. Are any of those familiar to you? Slowly, Tsunade turned to face him. You. You're telling lies. You must be. Naruto said, I wish I was. I've only heard this from a few people, but I act like my mother, with some of my father's characteristics mixed in, but I look like my father. I genuinely think they are my biological parents after hearing those things, if I had any doubts about it. They both passed away the day I was born, so I was raised as an orphan. I still wish it weren't true, but I don't really share this with many people because I think they won't believe me. Well, if an Iwa person heard it and then happened to spot me, he would attack and kill me right away. This caught Tsunade off guard. You're telling the truth. How come they didn't tell me? No one was to know. Naruto said simply, not even I was supposed to, I had to find out on my own, and my parents' secret won't be easily revealed because only a few people even know that they were married, let alone that my mother was expecting. I had to learn through experiences I'd prefer not to relive. What kinds of circumstances? Once, one of my friends nearly died. I was unaware that she had been in love with me for years. Above all, I had never experienced the love of someone who genuinely cared for me because I was dense and an orphan. I went crazy because I thought she was dead, but she was alive. Can you imagine what it would do to anyone in that situation if someone lived their entire life without ever understanding what true love was, then came clean and almost gave their life to save you? Naruto nodded and saw that some of them had reached 3 leaves. Naruto turned to face them and said, those of you that are at 3 leaves, dispel, and the rest of you move up to that point, and continue. Tsunade replied, that's got to be rough. The remainder took a 3rd leaf to continue after about 30 of them dispelled. Any other issue you need to resolve? It was an hour before sunset when 50 of them arrived at the second hand. Those of you starting on the other hand, dispel, Tsunade said, nodding, and they resumed their conversation. Do the same as you did the last time, everyone else. We'll continue working on this until dusk. Following a chorus of, all right, master, he turned to Tsunade and said, yes, sir. I have about an hour until sundown. I'd have to start meditating before they start dispelling. It will make it much easier for me to process the information. I'm happy I learned it because it's very helpful for this type of training. Meditation helps with a lot of things, Tsunade said, nodding. One of them isn't my pain. This is one way to look at it. How would they like you to behave? I don't know them personally, but if they're like me, they'd probably say something like, wake the fuck up, and get over your grief. Or perhaps even something like, I'm disappointed in you. Naruto inquired. That is precisely what I would say if I were in their shoes. Give me some time to work things out. Tsunade simply looked down before turning to face him with tears in her eyes. If it helps, I'm not ready to return, but when I am, I'll let you know, she said softly. Simply, don't tell anyone that you met me if they want me back. I simply cannot allow something like that to occur because I have been avoiding Jiraiya's spy network for so long. Well, if I can, I'd help you through a few problems, Naruto said, nodding in agreement. Simply. Anyway, how did you find out about my parents? When she was a genin, Kushina was one of my students, very stubborn and a bit of a hothead. The situation is, she would sooner give her life for her friends than let them perish, and she never gives up on them. I believe it has to do with honor. According to what I've read, honor isn't about how you pass away. That's not totally accurate, Naruto acknowledged, but it's how you live. There are those who possess honor but fail to display it. Others completely disregard honor. Only a few people, excluding samurai, thrive on honor. I'm among the select few ninjas who take great pride in their loyalty and honor. My father was the same way, as far as I can tell. Tsunade nodded. Naruto began to meditate when there were 5 minutes remaining. The clones all dispersed as the sun went down. Some reached the 3rd finger on the second hand, others reached the 4th, and still others remained on the 2nd finger. Naruto remained in this position for a few minutes before opening his eyes and demonstrating that he had entered Sage mode, which he quickly shook himself out of and returned his eyes to normal in a blink. Tsunade laughed when Naruto picked up some leaves and attempted to spin them by himself, and he managed to get the entire right hand and 4 on the left, albeit with some difficulty. You did good for a few hours. According to Naruto, that's what I love about shadow clones, and with as many as I can make, I can. Meditation makes it much easier to assimilate. This training regimen is most effective for people who can easily make at least 200 and who have mastered the tree walking exercise alone. It's great because I'm a Jinchuriki. Tsunade gave a nod of approval. All right, Gaki. He nodded, understanding that he shouldn't refer to her as grandma. They returned to the town and stayed at an inn, and Shizune spent the majority of the day wondering where she was and was taken aback by who accompanied her. Naruto quickly passed out and they both took a bed after he took the couch. On the bridge are Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi. Gato passed away 6 days ago, and the bridge was only completed yesterday. Inari questioned, do you really have to go? I'm sorry Inari, but we do. It's just something we have to do. We would have had to go sooner or later, Sakura replied. Sakura, let's get going. We have to meet up with Naruto at Tanzaku, remember? Sasuke replied. Haku touched down beside them. Wait. Sasuke, is it possible for me to come with you? Then Sasuke grinned. Sakura took notice when she said, I was wondering when you were going to ask. What do you mean? Kakashi gave a headshake. Let's go then. I can't guarantee that the Hokage would let you live with him. If we let Naruto talk to him, then I'm pretty sure he can do something about it. Sasuke said. If there's one thing I've actually envied about him, it's that he's gotten close to every Hokage that's come while he was alive. If he can't do it, then no one can. Haku gave a nod. All of them leapt into the trees and headed for Tanzaku. Tanzaku Tsunade and Naruto have been collaborating on a few more exercises. On the second day, he completed the first exercise in 3 hours. He had completed the next exercise she suggested because he had been working on the fourth for 3 days. This was one he still hadn't mastered. To put it simply, he had to sort the 5 different colors of sand that were in his palm. He had nearly mastered it. Try again. They were placed in Naruto's palm once more. After a while, he managed to move them into place. This was noticed by Tsunade. She said, good job. Tsunade. Sama, why are you just helping him train in his chakra control? Shouldn't he be learning something else? Replied Shizune. Tsunade questioned, I didn't tell you, did I? He knows that control is where his biggest weakness lies. He couldn't even use genjutsu. That's why he's working on control, and nothing else. She stopped. You still got those powders we tend to use for poisons? Yes, but they aren't in a poison yet. Get 5 of them, and make sure they're different colors, none of them toxic. Tsunade said. Naruto, that's the last one I'll be able to teach you. After that, well, let's see just how far you've progressed. Shizune was looking through a briefcase when Naruto said, wait. Let's see how I've progressed so far. First. Naruto received a nod. As Tsunade said, form a Rasengan with one hand. See how fast you can. Naruto raised a hand as he had seen Jiraiya do, saying, I've always used a shadow clone. But if you think I can. In 4.8 seconds, the Rasengan formed, fully stable. This is. Damn. I knew control would help, but still. And after this next one, your control, if not perfect, will border perfect. Tsunade said. Naruto nodded as Shizune held 5 vials of powder. It's a shame I can't use the 5. Pronged seal. That would have helped you out a lot more, if you go through everything you have so far. Especially since you're a Jinchuriki. She poured them onto Naruto's hand after mixing them. Now do the same as with the sand. This is the last thing I can do for you. If you want some more training with control, Jiraiya is your best bet, since he's the only Konoha shinobi that can use the 5. Pronged seal, and is loyal from what I know. After giving a nod, Naruto started working. They were confronted by a shadow clone of Naruto in Sage mode. Naruto glanced at the clone, nodded, and turned to face Tsunade. Boss, the team is coming now. Naruto said, looks like this is where we part ways, Tsunade. You're gonna want to disappear for a while, if you want to avoid them. I'm keeping my word of not forcing you to come back if you don't want to, but they might, and I can't do much about them. Tsunade glanced at Shizune and nodded. She turned to Naruto and said, let's go. We want to leave before they get here. The ones she gave you are fine, so work on them on your way back. Head back the civilian way, if you need to. Just make sure you get it done. While the clone kept tabs on them, Naruto nodded and went back to work on it. Tsunade nodded and departed with Shizune, saying, we have maybe 5 minutes before they get here through the trees. Haku, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi landed in the clearing while Naruto was still working on it, only to discover him carrying a clone. The clone approached him. Sasuke asked, Sage mode? And got a nod. See, Naruto said, all right, here's the deal. Boss has been working on control since we got here almost 4 days ago. He just started a new exercise a few minutes back, and needs to concentrate on it, so we decided we should head back the civilian way. He then turned to Haku. It would help us out a bit more, especially if Haku is coming back with us. We don't want the council to know of her bloodline. They'd turn her into a breeding factory. Sasuke nodded after glancing at him and noticing how serious he was. Sakura also gave a nod. Haku, are you planning on taking Zabuza's surname when you enter the village? You'll need a surname if you're staying. See, Naruto replied. Haku answered, I'd go Yuki. My bloodline is Hyouden, after all. He gave a nod. Well, going back the civilian way, meaning walking, will make them think that Haku is just a civilian orphan, that has been on her own for a while. Which, for the most part, is true. Haku and Sasuke both nodded. So, if we give that illusion to the gate guards, they may question it, but if you let boss handle it, he can convince them she's a civilian. How do you plan on doing that? Gate duty is for Chunin and above, Kakashi replied. See, Naruto said, you'll see. After all, I do have practice playing on ignorance. After losing Sage Mode, the clone was dispelled. They were waved over by the original Naruto. Sakura's eyes widened as they approached. Naruto told Sakura, don't touch them, Sakura. I know what they are and what they are used for. It's the final exercise I have to go through. Sakura asked, but why those? If you truly knew what they were. I know you know of them because you trained under someone who used them somewhat frequently, replied Naruto. Sakura looked into his serious face and said, you'd know that they aren't toxic, either. After that, she looked at the powders and was able to identify all 5. Sakura said, don't scare me like that, Naruto. I almost lost you not once, not twice, but 5 times. I don't want to lose you. Naruto gave her a smile. His expression changed to one of seriousness. That's good. I think we should keep our old selves up. What we were like during this point in time. I know I was annoying, loud, and hyperactive. Sasuke, you were an emo bastard that was stuck up on killing your brother. He then glanced at Kakashi. How far is he in the loop? According to Sasuke, Chunin exams. Sakura acknowledged, we didn't see the need to go any further than that. Naruto gave a nod. Well, I was thinking on that, and figured that we should reveal our true selves during the Chunin exams. Second portion. Remember, we want to avoid Orochimaru. Kakashi gave nod. Well, you're a little ahead of us. They gave Naruto a startled look when he said, actually, I wanted to kill him in the forest. I talked it over with Kurama. We're going to hate it, but acting like we were during this time would simply add to the effect. And if Orochimaru does show up, we flee, but not like we would in this time. It's either reveal ourselves against Orochimaru in the forest, or during the third portion. We don't want people knowing how far we've progressed. Sasuke gave a nod. Sakura appeared nervous. Sakura, you know that people think you're a fangirl, but if others find out that you changed so much so quickly, someone is bound to get suspicious. They might think you're a spy, and that's worse than anything else. Better to show small amounts of progress and reveal it over time, than reveal 4 years of progress over the course of a 2-week-long mission. Sure, I could do it, if I knew of the Shadow Clone's memory transfer ability, which I can easily play off as learning during the course of this mission. That's no problem, and would explain a bit of progress for me. But it still won't explain the Rasengan, which I'll be hiding, Chidori, which Sasuke should hide, and Sakura's inhuman strength. No offense. Sakura gave him a sneer, and why shouldn't I take offense? Naruto took a step back. You know that kind of strength can turn a boulder to dust. Guy is the only one that could do that in our time, aside from Tsunade. How would you explain that? Sakura looked perplexed. Naruto sighed as she retreated. You turning into a coward? Not very likely, Kurama. I simply don't want to give away too much and risk being punched by Iwa. Sakura could still send me to Iwa in a single blow, in my opinion. Apart from the Biju or other demons, Sakura and Tsunade are the only people who are capable of doing something similar. Point. Everything was in his hand when Naruto looked at it. He let out a sigh. Do you see why I said all that? If you have to fight Ino again, just let loose, and play it off as your other self. If that doesn't explain it, we'll do so then. Sakura let out a sigh. Naruto put on a perplexed expression and said, I don't know how you do it. You can convince anyone to see things your way, yet you rarely realize it. I didn't realize it until after I came back with Jiraiya. I've played it off as my personality, so far. Seriously, how many people have I changed for the better? Replied Naruto. I stopped counting at 50. Anything C rank or above that you go on, shit will hit the fan, and you'd change someone, stop someone that's causing trouble, and then walk away as if nothing happened. Sakura said, if it weren't for the idiocy of the council, and Root, you'd have made Hokage when you came back with Jiraiya. Or at least came close. It wasn't until you saved the village from pain that they finally saw you for you, and not the Kyuubi. Kakashi let out a sigh. I think we should stay here for a day, and leave in the morning. When Naruto turned to face the town, he saw that Shizune and Tsunade had long since left. I've got a room in a hotel nearby. I wasn't exactly sure how long it was going to take you to get here, so I paid for one after a bit of gambling. I was also hoping to run into Tsunade. No luck. He settled down. Sasuke looked at Haku and said, I'll stay here. There's a festival that started yesterday and will last until tomorrow evening. Take a load off, and have some fun. You'll never know when you'll be able to again. They both left right away without saying anything. When Kakashi saw this, he turned to face Naruto, who blinked. They got closer than I thought in that time. You're the one that's turned opponents with clashing views into friends with similar, if not identical, views as you. Sakura responded. She was informed by Naruto, yeah, but he never did. Sakura gave a blink. Point. Alright, I'll continue working on this. If anyone needs me, I'll be in this clearing. The Blue Moon Inn is where I'm staying. Just mention none, and he'll give you the room number I've got. Why none? Inquired Kakashi. In response, Naruto said, my initials. Sakura should know. Sakura nodded and blinked. You should know that no one else knows about the second N. Sakura said, I know. Only you, Sasuke, and me know about it. Well, now Kakashi. Sensei knows, and so does Haku, but still. Quick question. Said Naruto. Did they name the bridge after me again? They did last time, but I didn't find out until after Pain's attack. I suggested it, since you're the one that took down all of Gato's men within a few seconds. Not the same as last time, but still. I gave you the credit, since you really did take them out. They agreed instantly. Inari was still in shock that you did that to them, and came close to hailing you as a god, or something. I hope you stopped him from doing that. It's not a good thing to think of me as a god. I'm no god, replied Naruto. To which Sakura replied, oh, I did. And he saw what I mean. He's no coward, that's for sure. After giving a nod, Naruto resumed his powder exercise. Kakashi remained while Sakura left. Naruto, I'm afraid that I don't know all of your skills. I've seen Sasuke's and Sakura's but not yours. I'm sorry sensei, but those will have to wait until I'm done with this. You saw the Rasen Shuriken. That's one of my original jutsu, and the third upgrade to the Rasengan. There's the giant Rasengan, Fuden, Rasengan, and Fuden. Rasen Shuriken. Rasen Shuriken is the combination of the giant Rasengan and Fuden. Rasengan, but it's dangerous, and classified as S-rank kinjutsu due to the massive drawback if used at point-blank range like the regular Rasengan. That's why I went Sage Mode to use it. I need Sage Mode to throw it, otherwise I could very well tear my own arm off. With wide eyes, Kakashi questioned, why did you come up with that? You taught Sasuke the Chidori, and wind is strong against lightning. I started training on my natural wind affinity, and yes, it's my natural one. I finished the Rasengan, like my father wanted to. And while I was at Whirlpool Island, I went through a few trials and found out I have access to another element. One that my father might have been able to use, but never showed. His Hiraishin was based off of it, but he never showed signs of this one. I did. How do you know this? I had to face off with him. Using it, along with my natural wind affinity, I got him to give up. He gave me a choice of a weapon, along with the location of his old armory, and clan stuff for making him give up. Only I can get to it, since I'm of his blood, but yeah. What did you choose? Naruto let out a sigh. It's called the Devil Arm. Naruto's arms transformed into the Devil Arms, resembling a fox. I was only supposed to grab it with one hand, but I did with both simultaneously. It fused with my own, and I can channel Kurama's Yuki into them without consequence. I've already tried it out, to be honest, but you can't let anyone know about this. I've got virtually no training with them, so if anyone found out about them before I get some kind of training under my belt, then shit will hit the fan faster than you can say, sorry. Because no one will like it. Kurama is only vaguely aware of its abilities, so you know. Kakashi gave nod. I see. I'll keep that out of the loop. Still, I think you could use a sword of some kind. I'll keep that in mind, because honestly, I have a feeling that my mother had some kind of fetish for swords and ramen. The response from Kakashi was, she did. I'm not going into detail about it, because you could simply ask Yugo Uzuki, if you know her. Kakashi nodded and said, friend of Anko, Kurenai, and Hana, right? I don't really know her at this point in time, but I do know a bit about Anko. After all, I did hide in her forest when I was younger. Kakashi gave nod. Did I get close to someone in the future? Not really. Your tardiness was a turn-off, even for Anko, who gave you a chance. Personally, I was hoping you'd end up with a girl named Shizune. Kakashi felt anxious. If you gave her a chance, I'm sure she'd go for it. Now get going. You should relax a bit. Oh yeah. The next Icha Icha won't come out for a few years. Just a heads up. In a shunshin, Kakashi departed. Naruto returned to his hand and completed the exercise. By the time he finished, it was nearly dusk. Then Naruto messed it up once more and attempted to complete it in the remaining half hour. It took him 10 minutes to do so. Once more, it took him 7 minutes, and by then the sun had set. He walked back to his hotel after putting it in a bag. There, he noticed his team eating, including Haku. He joined them in their seats. Alright, team. We'll be heading back tomorrow. Naruto, how did it go? I did it, now I have to get it down in a certain time frame. Then I can call it mastered. Sakura inquired, and what's the time frame you're shooting for? Naruto acknowledged, 1 minute. I got it to just under 7 minutes before I came back. Before that, I did so in just over 10 minutes. I'm getting it down faster, but what I've got still isn't enough. Sakura called out to Kakashi and Sasuke, you ran into Tsunade earlier, didn't you? Naruto nodded and let out a sigh. She left before you guys got here, though. I wasn't going to take her back, because she doesn't wish to return yet. But she will one day. She openly stated that she would have come with me if she had known I was my father's son. Well, I told her, and said she would come back after a while, but she'd stay in contact. It's better than Jiraiya did. When he went off the map, he didn't contact anyone. She'll be hiding from Jiraiya's network the most. But she isn't aware that I've got my own network, which I've been spreading for the past few days. Surprised, Sasuke questioned, you've started a network that quickly? How? Naruto said, you'd be surprised. Being a Jinchuriki can get you things most humans can't or wouldn't think of. Sasuke nodded and whispered, demons? When did you find any of them? Luckily, the Uzumaki trials said to come here next. Once I did, I went gambling, found Tsunade playing Texas Hold'em, won, got her to train my control, and sent a shadow clone to the place where I was supposed to go. Needless to say, I got on their good side quickly. If I need to disappear off the map, I can. Hell, I can leave the dimension for training, if need be. I can easily say that I've activated a bloodline I had no idea of. What? Asked Haku. My bloodline. It's similar to yours, Haku. An element-based bloodline. I've only found one demon that can, and it's only thanks to Kurama that I met him. Naruto stated to them. In any case, I'm not revealing it unless I need to, and now that I've been there, I can go there and back without much difficulty, or even using the gate. I could be in my house and I could get there within seconds. Sakura let out a sigh. Don't you think you're giving yourself too much credit? Naruto said, nope. Too little. For the simple fact that I've got a replica of something that is called the Flash. I've already tried it out. It works to get there, and come back. All I really have to do is know where I'm going, and what it looks like in the area, or if I'm going to someone, I need to be able to sense them. Aside from that, there's no other requirements. I've already been there, and they never change much in their construction, so it's a simple matter for me to do so. Kakashi gave nod. I see, and yet you don't need a seal? Nope. That was the original. After seeing it in action, I managed to emulate it with what it was originally intended to do, after I realized I could use a Mangekyo Sharingan Jutsu with it. Toby used it, after all. Sakura's and Sasuke's eyes grew wide. Izanagi, muttered Sasuke. That's what it's called. The one that allows someone to erase part of their existence. That one I used with it, and in doing so, I can reappear strike, and then disappear right afterwards. I can't do so for long periods of time, though. I'd need more control over the element itself, and then I might be able to. The more practice with Hyouten I got, the easier it came, Haku said. Sasuke acknowledged, same here with fire. Kakashi went on, and lightning with me. I think once you get a feel for your elements, they get easier the more you understand them, Sakura offered. Naruto gave a nod. That would make sense. Kit, you've got 3 tails of my Yuki converted already, and usable as your own. You were at the same point when you came. Meaning, the more time goes by, the more of my Yuki becomes your chakra, with your elements. Basically, all I am is an entity. At least I'll be able to help out with the devil arms. I've been studying them myself, to be honest. I'll give you the lowdown the next time you come in here. Noted. Then I'll see you tonight. Well, I think we should hit the sack. Remember, Haku. You need to suppress your chakra, but not get rid of it. Put it down to a civilian's level, and we walk back. She gave a nod and they headed upstairs. Sasuke, Naruto, and Kakashi were given one room, while Sakura and Haku were given another. The following day at precisely 7:30, Team 7 and Haku were leaving town on foot. Naruto was using the powder once more as they made their way to Konohagakure. Sakura continued to stare at him and discovered that he was focused on it. About an hour separated them from the gates where Naruto yelled. Finally, he was regarded by all. What? Sasuke asked, you've been working at it all this time, and you just got it? Shut up. I had to go through 3 exercises, one of which I used 1000 shadow clones to complete in a little over a day. Then the next one for almost 3 days, and then you showed up 5 minutes after I started this one. With my reserves, you know that this would be hard as hell. Naruto responded. Getting it this quickly is a good thing. Kakashi and Sakura both nodded in agreement, but Haku remained perplexed. Sasuke let out a sigh. Enlighten me then. How much do you have? Remember the amount of chakra I gave off in the valley? 3 times that has been added to what would have been the Sandaime and Yondaime chakra levels combined. All in all, I've got more chakra than the Nidaime, Sandaime, and Yondaime combined, and more on the way. Sensei, 3 tails are converted to my own, if that's not enough. Sasuke understood exactly what he meant, and his eyes widened. Naruto nodded and said, point, and let me guess. 6 tails to go. Well, shit. Sakura said, I think we've all said that now. Gaara's not the type to curse, but I have a feeling he did as well. Naruto acknowledged. He's also a lot more logical than I am, so you can bet he'll also be following the same rules we are. Sakura gave a nod. There was silence for the remainder of the journey before arriving at the gate. Team 7 returning from our mission to Wave Country, with someone that has taken a shine to my students. The guard said, Kakashi, you really shouldn't do this. Naruto approached them. Naruto nodded and asked, Katetsu, right? He whispered in Katetsu's ear, I think you should know that. You kidding me? Yelled Katetsu. He gestured closer and continued to whisper, nope. In fact, that's what I've seen, anyway. Well, if she's that close to him, she's good with at least 90% of the village. Minus the fangirls. No kidding. Azumo, let her pass. Naruto gestured for him to approach, asking, what are you talking about? Azumo did, and he became pale when he heard it, you wouldn't. Naruto smirked and said, you wanna bet? I've got most of it hidden, you know? Azumo was completely agitated. How did you find out? She asked. Katetsu questioned, what is he talking about? You don't think I'd prank everyone in the village and not find things that some people would kill to know, do you? I mean, the only things I haven't found out is what Kakashi-sensei's face looks like, what's inside some of the sealed shacks in the forests, and how the hell things can happen so quickly in the forest of death that makes people fear it. I've probably got dirt on everyone in the village. You really think I haven't heard about, or seen, you doing that on multiple occasions? Naruto ultimately asked. Katetsu whispered in Naruto's ear, hey, if that's true then can you tell me something? Yeah, he does. Don't ask me how I found out, because the circumstances are not pretty, or good for your health, said Naruto. In response, Katetsu said, good to know. Go ahead in. She should go with you to the Hokage for the report. After Kakashi nodded, everyone departed except for Naruto. By the way, if you tell anyone what I told you, that information is going public during the next festival, Azumo. Katetsu questioned, what is he talking about? Kid, what will it take to keep you quiet about that? Naruto considered it. He smiled and his eyes grew brighter before gesturing for him to approach. Keep the fact I have a bloodline a secret from everyone, and ask her out on a date, in public, while in front of her friends. The last thing you have to do is grab her breast right in front of them. Do this, and it's not getting out, and make sure people can see it all happen. It was Azumo who said, you have what? Naruto burst out laughing and said, yes, I do. And that's not getting out, or else the other 3 secrets I have on you that have nothing to do with her go public, later. What does he have? With fear in his voice, Azumo said, sorry, but I'm not going to say. Even the council and Hokage isn't going to hear about it from me. Does he know about? Azumo told him, I sure as hell hope not. Hokage's workspace Sarutobi was facing Kakashi, Sasuke, and Haku. Lord Hokage, it seems we ran into a bit of trouble on our mission. Sarutobi's expression grew stern. Am I to assume it has something to do with you third person? That's one thing that was an after effect of it. We encountered a few rogue shinobi. Kakashi said. She was with one of them, but is not really aligned with any of them, and probably held against her will. Naruto entered through the corner's shadows. Kakashi. Sensei, why don't you let me handle Haku's involvement in the mission? Kakashi then explained the specifics of the mission, saying, okay, since it was you that convinced her to come with us. Sarutobi let out a sigh, and you wish for me to allow her in? To his surprise, Naruto said, I did, Hokage-sama. Who are you, and what did you do with Naruto? He never calls me that. I know I don't. And you should realize that this means I'm a lot more serious than I usually am since I did. Replied Naruto. It's very rare for me to be this serious, so I think I should go for something a lot more rare, or almost impossible to convince me to do. Wouldn't you agree? Sarutobi nodded without saying anything. First off, she's an orphan whose father killed her mother, and then tried to kill her. He failed, and she ended up killing him, after which she was convinced by Zabuza to follow him, and she stuck with him as long as she survived. From there, Zabuza taught her to survive, so she can survive in the wild, but when I found out she was never truly aligned with any village, I told her my little secret. She got pretty close to me, and then I told her that Sasuke would probably match up with her a lot more easily, since his own brother performed the massacre. I left it to her, and she agreed to abandon Zabuza for us, and a better place to stay. Bloodline massacre, replied Sarutobi. Naruto let out a sigh. I guess. She did have a few ice jutsu. What else could it be? Haku said, that's what it was. But he did warn me, just as Sasuke did, about what your council would do if I was found to have a bloodline. That's why I'd go for a civilian's life. Naruto went on, that, and the fact that you hate killing. Sarutobi sighed as he observed their conversation. Alright. No bloodline, but a civilian. Your name is Haku, correct? If your bloodline is Hyouden, then you might want a name aside from Kori. I was thinking something along the lines of Yuki. My home village did snow a lot. Haku offered. Sarutobi said, Haku Yuki. White snow. Very well. Now there's only the matter of a place to stay. Sasuke said, that's another reason I'm here. One is to give her some support morally. I know it's not usually my thing, but still. She needs it. She is welcome to stay in the Uchiha complex. I also want Naruto switched to the Uchiha complex as well. He is living in an apartment, right? Why Naruto as well? According to Sasuke, why not? It's better that way for all of us. Birds of a feather flock together. Naruto gave a nod. I'm with him. This mission was more than just out of our league at first. It was an eye-opener, for all of us. Sakura-chan even changed a little. Naruto acknowledged. I think it's the first time I saw her sweat during training. She's taking her role as a kunoichi seriously. Additionally, Sasuke said, tell me about it. That fact alone means she's better than the rest of our class. Naruto muttered under his breath, I should get going. Time to get back at a stalker I've had for a while, but played dumb around. Still don't know why she faints. Then he vanished from view. Haku said, I believe that's what he meant by new jutsu, unless he's done that before. Kakashi acknowledged, not once have I seen him do that. Sasuke reasoned that he was serious when he claimed to have copied the Izanagi or possibly even the Izanami. He's good, damn it. What was it saying about those two, too? I must return to see how the scrolls are doing. He sighed, I must see what they said about them. Hokage-sama, I should be going. When she's done here, have someone escort Haku to the Uchiha complex. I've got things to do. I'll do that. And Naruto? As he walked to the door, Sasuke said, we already discussed it before we got back. He'll grab his stuff, and bring it to the Uchiha estate before nightfall. I'll be waiting for you, Haku. Noted, was Haku's response. As Sasuke exited the room and shut the door, Sarutobi let out a sigh. Kakashi, Naruto and Sasuke are hiding something. I'm aware, said Kakashi. Unfortunately, anything I do know is kept under a blood oath. I can't say anything or there will be death as I start. The only ones that can are them. Sarutobi yelled, wait, a blood oath? Since when do they know about that? I don't know, and I don't think I want to. Only they can say anything on it, or make exceptions. I, on the other hand, can't, and no one can force them to say anything on it. It has to be of their own free will, and consents when a genjutsu would make them say anything. It would be pointless to do so. Sarutobi let out a sigh. Alright, if Naruto chooses to tell me, he will. If not, he won't. Take Haku to the Uchiha estate. Your team has a week off. Enjoy it while you can. With a nod, Kakashi motioned for Haku to follow him. Sarutobi looked at the Yondaime's photo. Minato. I'm sorry, but I need to know just what to do with your son, he whispered. Naruto said, you could start by telling me why you never told me. He then revealed that he was in the same corner from which he had left. Sarutobi was taken aback. What are you doing in here? Oh. I'm only a shadow clone. And I already know of the memory transfer. You might want to put up a few privacy barriers. I have a feeling that no one is supposed to know of my heritage, Naruto said. Sarutobi's gaze grew stony. No one but me, and one other know of your parentage, and he's never in the village. Not even the elders are aware of it. I had destroyed all records of your mother to help with that, but kept the most important pieces locked up in a safe in this very room. Why didn't you say anything on it? If you know of them, you'd know that they both had many enemies. It was for your protection. Something that failed utterly, Sarutobi said with a sorrowful tone. I did whatever I could to protect you, short of having you leave the village for good. I've thought several times that I should have sent you out of the village, but I just couldn't bring myself to do so. Why not? I always hoped they would change. Something that, unfortunately, I was wrong about. Your father wanted you seen as a hero. It never happened. One of the many things I always hated myself for was being forced to watch your father perform the sealing. After giving a nod, Sarutobi adopted a startled expression. The other is letting Orochimaru go, right? How did you? There's a reason I asked for the privacy seals, and all the Anbu can't even see in here due to my own actions. It's something I came up with to prevent even the Byakugan to see through. Naruto said. This is gonna sound crazy, but I'm not the Naruto you know. In fact, you were dead before I got this way. What are you talking about? Asked Sarutobi, his eyes hard. Gigi. I'm from the future, same as Sasuke and Sakura. We were all 16 when it happened. You died when I was 13, and I'm 12 now. We went back in time to stop the future we knew from happening. Because there were only a few survivors out of all of the elemental nations, even the minor countries. It all came down to me and Sasuke. If I won, he died, Sakura would be dead, being the only medic left alive. The Godem Mizukage, the Godem Kazekage, the current Raikage would be alive, and then there's me. Sakura was mortally wounded. The Hachibi Jinchuriki was mortally wounded. Everyone else was dead. If I died, they'd all be dead within an hour of my death. That's when the Kyuubi, who is actually named Kurama, gave an offer that he wasn't sure would work. What was the offer? Naruto instructed him to go back in time to stop it all from happening. And since we had made peace a few weeks beforehand, I found out he didn't know where or when we'd end up. Turns out we ended up in the second fight with Zabuza and Haku. Sasuke, Sakura and I all came back with Kurama's power. The Mizukage, Raikage, and Kazekage all came back with the power of the Ichibi and the Yonbi, who are called Shukaku and Son Goku respectively. Kyuubi is called Kurama. I also recently found out that Kurabi, the Hachibi Jinchuriki, came back as well. As to how, not even I know. He caught Sarutobi's attention. How'd I know you aren't lying to me? Well, there's the fact that I know and upgraded the Rasengan to create what was called an S-rank Kinjutsu, Master Sage Mode from the Toad Summons. Sarutobi interrupted, wait, you mastered Sage Mode from the Toads? Kurama, I'll handle it this time. Naruto closed his eyes, collected the nature chakra, and opened them. Yeah, I did. See? Sarutobi let out a sigh. And when did you master this? Naruto revealed Sage Mode, saying, I was 15, almost 16. There's only one person that can do this, and even he hasn't mastered it like I have, because he died before I could, trying to get the leader of an organization that's after the Biju. They're called the Akatsuki. Sarutobi let out a sigh. Also, I found that by using Kurama's Yuki, I can use a type of Dujutsu, just like any Jinchuriki. It's called the Demon Eyes, and it's not a bloodline. This raised an eyebrow. Demon Eyes? Inquired Sarutobi. It's a Dujutsu that only appears with demons, Hanyu and Jinchuriki. A demon, however, can't turn it off. For a demon, it's the only eyes they have. For a Hanyu, they have no set eye color, though they tend to stick with the eyes of the human parent. For a Jinchuriki, it's more of a Dujutsu than anything else, and it looks different for each one. Naruto clarified. Explain. Naruto said, you haven't seen me angry, have you? And Sarutobi shook his head. Getting angry causes Yuki to flow, and it's harder to resist the flow. For a Jinchuriki, this can be extremely dangerous, and leads to something called the Jinchuriki cloak. Mine is a red, orange color, and my demon eyes is a blood red color with black slits. Just accessing Yuki short of a separate tailed beast mode would trigger a few bodily changes in the demon eyes. Tailed beast mode, I'll go into that when it's needed. Right now, I can't, because I can't use it without going to a certain area and training myself to use it properly, acknowledged Naruto. I could when I was 16, and actually wrestled for control of Kurama's Yuki. I won with some help, but the aftermath is what caused the tailed beast mode. And it's not really something I should brag about, so I'm not even going to bother explaining it. You really want to impress me? Hey, I'm trying to provide the information you need without painting you in a negative light. I'm winging it because I'm not exactly sure how to do it. So, you managed to beat out the Q. Kurama, take his Yuki, and use it yourself. Basically, but doing so would drain my chakra, as he would take it if he felt like it. That's why it's not something to brag about. What's more is, I managed to make friends with all 9 Biju, and freed them from the control they were under. That is something I'd rather brag about, but I'm still not going to, said Naruto. I just don't see the point in it, to be honest. When has that ever stopped you? When I went back in time, found out about the Uzumaki trials, went through them, and came back. That's when I realized that bragging about something will not cut it in this life. So, if I play the fool, that's just me acting like I did during this time, replied Naruto. And the others? Asked Sarutobi. No one else is to know. Not even Kakashi. Sensei knows anything beyond the next Chunin exams in Konohagakure. After that, our true progress will be revealed. I'd still avoid Sage Mode and Kurama's Yuki until then. Especially not in the village, or where people can see it. I've also found something interesting. Well, 2 things actually, both of which after I came back. Sarutobi gazed. Which are? I have access to Void Element, which is from my father's clan. And Kurama can regulate Sage Chakra for me like the Toad Elders do, or did, for Jiraiya, but I don't intend on relying on it, even though the only jutsu I really know are those I came up with myself, meaning Sexy Jutsu and one other, Rasengan, and the Shadow Clone Jutsu. With a hint of fear, Sarutobi questioned, you made another jutsu? It's not like the Sexy Jutsu, which I originally created as an anti-pervert jutsu, but it's just as, if not more dangerous than the Sexy Jutsu. It was labeled an S-class Kinjutsu. The Fuden. Rasen Shuriken. And if Sage Mode is off the list, so is that one, Naruto said. Wait, why is that? And why was it considered a Kinjutsu? He nodded and Naruto went on, well, to start, there's the fact that it's a Rasengan with wind chakra added into it, but that's the start of it. It tears the target apart at the cellular level, and if it hits, you're dead. No argument about it. But therein lies the problem. Sarutobi raised his eyebrows. If used at point-blank range, it could very tear my arm off, or at least make it so I can't use chakra in that arm. The jutsu itself makes microscopic wind blades that, if you're not careful, can cut through even the fabled crystal element. And Sage Mode? Inquired Sarutobi. It allows me to throw the Rasen Shuriken, thus eliminating the point-blank problem, but it will still cause death like that. It also takes the amount of chakra of about 3 Suiryuden and an extreme wind affinity. I think Asuma is the only one that can use it, and even then he'd have trouble with it. Naruto clarified. That's about it, and I came up with it to beat out Sasuke himself with his Chidori, and yes, Kakashi taught it to him. Last time, though, he didn't know the truth of the Uchiha massacre. This time, all 3 of us do. Sarutobi stiffened. I found out from Madara, and though I normally wouldn't believe him, thinking back on it, it made sense. The Uchiha clan was planning a coup d'etat, and you sent Itachi to do so. However, I know you better than that, and you wouldn't have agreed with that action. And that means you were outnumbered 3-1 against the elders. And guess what else I'm doing? Don't tell me you're spreading the word about it. Nah, not that. I'm getting the proof of it, and everything that Danzo has done to date. After all, he did die in the future, and I did go through his hideout. I found he kept extremely detailed records of everything he's done. From helping Hanzo in a civil war, that ended up taking the life of someone that would one day try to destroy Konoha because of it, dealings with Orochimaru, and Akatsuki, though I'm not sure if Akatsuki-related items are in there at the moment, and several other things that normally wouldn't do any good. Sarutobi let out a sigh. What else did you find? Well, I'd actually have to get it myself, to be honest. Right now, I'm doing 4 things. 1. Talking to Hinata Hyuga. 2. I'm here talking to you. 3. I'm infiltrating Root HQ. 4. I'm heading to my father's old armory, which ironically has all the Namikaze and Uzumaki scrolls that were in the village. The original is going to the armory. The one going through Root is taking caution, and going to exit with a Void Element Jutsu, which is something my father tried to achieve with his Hiraishin, and the Uchiha can do with the Mangekyo Sharingan. Void Teleport. As to where I'll be ending up, well, that's going to be a surprise, but it'll get to you soon. Sarutobi gave a nod. If you can get it and make sure all the evidence is intact, I'd pay you for an S-rank mission in exchange for doing so. Also, Are you aware of the circumstances involving S ranks? No one is to know about it. Sasuke is likely to kill off Homura and Kaharu, to be honest. He'd also go after Danzo, mainly because he's got 9 Sharingan implanted into his right arm, and another one in his right eye. The eye is Shisui's right eye, the rest, I have no idea. Nothing good comes with playing with the dead. Bring Danzu's axe to light, and we can get him with at least 50 charges of treason, and another 20 of insubordination. It was well over 100 for treason, and I don't know how many for insubordination when he did die, Naruto said. So, if you bring his axe to light, then he'll either flee the village, and you put him as kill on sight, or he'll take the punishment as he should, and die. Either way, death is his only option, said Naruto. And you know that Sasuke would love to deliver. Sarutobi said, he's not after Itachi. If Itachi was ordered, then he should be in the village, and not a rogue. However, I did explain something to him. Itachi can be a link to the inside of Akatsuki, and it's already been made. A link? How? In the short time I've been back, I've already started a spy network myself. With who they are, they won't be noticed. As to how far they go, I won't say. And the best part? I don't have to leave the village to meet with them? Not officially, anyway. Naruto clarified. That's all you really need to know. I've already made a link to Itachi, and he's already working as an insider with me. If someone asks for a nun cage or arachnid cage. A.N. Yes, I got this from someone else, but I can't remember who it was that posted it, or what the name of the story was. I'm sorry if you read this, and it seems like I'm taking it, but it seems like a good idea to use for this. Then I can lead them to him. Nun cage, huh? Said Sarutobi. You? Nah, company commander of sorts. 2 people lead this spy network, so you know. This way, if one can't make it, the other can. One is codenamed Arachnid Cage, the other Nun Cage. As to which one I am, I'm not going to say. Well, I'd place my bets on Nun Cage. As I said, I won't say either way. But for now, we have more spies than Jiraiya has spies, book copies sold, and money combined. If you want to know where I found them, too bad, because you wouldn't believe me if I told you, nor would you think they'd ever agree to it. So don't bring it up. Fine. But I hope you use it for Konoha. Naruto acknowledged, I didn't form it for Konohagakure. Naruto went poof, indicating the shadow clone, and said, I formed it for peace. There's a difference, later. Sarutobi let out a sigh. I'm growing too old to put up with this. Alongside Hinata and Naruto under a tree, Naruto and Hinata were together, but Hinata appeared to be about to faint. Naruto made the decision to break the silence that had been in place for a few minutes. She tensed up and slowly turned her head to face him, saying, Hinata, I know you like me. I can honestly say, you're probably the only one who does in the village and wouldn't care about any big-ass burdens I carry. She had a fixed expression on her face that only showed shock. She did that later, but she is unaware of it. You'd probably fight someone that was about to kill me, without fear, knowing full well that you'd die if you did. She was on the verge of passing out. With a worried expression, Naruto pleaded with her, please, don't faint on me. There's a lot more to me than most would ever think. You've only seen part of it. For a brief moment, her nervousness gave way to curiosity and bewilderment. W. What do you mean? I know you've been following me since the academy, but I didn't know why, nor did I really care, to be honest. If not for you fainting whenever you're around me, along with you twiddling your fingers and avoiding my gaze, I would never have come to the conclusion that you actually do care for me. A lot more than most, something, as I'm sure you know, is somewhat new to me. Naruto replied with a wink. Well, then let me fill you in on a few things, and I'm going to blunt about them. First off, from what I've seen at least, yourself. Confidence is shot all to hell. For what reason, I don't know, but I'd like to find out one day. She was nearly staring at him. Second, you're too nervous around me to do anything but faint. You need to get over the fainting if you really wanted to date me. Blushing. It's cute when you do that. She puckered up. Her blush deepened as she said, I stand by my statement that you are cute when you blush like that. The third thing I've noticed. Well, you're not exactly good at the Juuken, which is your family's taijutsu, she thought for a moment. How did he know? I know this because, contrary to what you think, I've seen you train in it from time to time after we graduated. If you want some advice about it, just ask. She did, but her words were stuttering. Naruto laughed. Okay. Well, the first piece of advice I can give you is don't go for the original. She was staring at him. Juuken is too rigid, I think is the word. It doesn't allow you to use your strengths to your advantage. One of your strengths is your natural flexibility. If you can modify it to fit your flexibility and use it to your advantage, then you should be able to work it out a lot easier. She appeared to be perplexed. She shook her head and asked, "Do you know why my taijutsu usually sucks?" "Well, for one, the academy stunted my growth from day one, so that's one reason. The other is the fact that I've been developing it on my own. My taijutsu is based on me and my natural abilities. Your taijutsu has to fit you, not you fitting your taijutsu. If you have to use a certain taijutsu, then modify it so you can use it on your own, and highly efficiently. This is a fact that is lost to most," Naruto said. She gave a nod. Anything else?" Taking advantage of his knowledge of the future, Naruto stated. "Well, that's the biggest thing, but if I had to guess, your chakra affinity is water, so if you could add in water, and move it with your taijutsu, then you'd work a hell of a lot better." She gave him a look. "How?" Naruto nodded and finished for her, asking, "Did I know?" "It's because of your natural flexibility. That is always present in a water element main. Earth mains tend to be a lot more sturdy, and less flexible. Wind mains, such as myself, are a lot more unpredictable, and tend to be able to adapt highly quickly. Fire mains. They're hotheads." Nuff said. She cracked a smile. She blushed and said, "Got a laugh out of you on that one." He sighed, "I like it, and wish you'd do that more. Anyway, lightning mains. Well, I just look at Sasuke, as he's a lightning main, but the arrogance is the Uchiha clan all the way. They tend to be speed-oriented, not really flexible, but not really stiff. Speed is never really a problem for them, but Sasuke, whose family is actually a fire main while he's a lightning main, also gives the hothead status. So yeah, that's about right. Your main element gives off one or two characteristics about a person. Water mains can be shy, but when angered, they are dangerous. It's the most balanced, and most contradictory element. Along with being the purest. That's why you are who you are. However, there are other elements, aside from the original 5, and you don't really need to have in order to have traits from them. One, for example, is the void element." "Void?" inquired Hinata. "It's an element that you aren't necessarily born with, but can develop if you have the ability to. And I actually have. It can form in an empty space. The pain of loss, the feeling of loneliness, stuff like that can easily trigger it. People are born with an ability for certain things, but they have to train in them to use them. Void is one of the rarest ones, and is considered a bloodline at times. In fact, it is, but not everyone that has the ability to activate it. I did because of the loneliness I felt. It was the hole I had gotten from not knowing a true family, and being singled out because of what I am." Hinata motioned for him to go on. "They call me a demon, if you haven't heard. The fact of the matter is, I am not a demon, but the container for a demon. A Biju, to be more precise, which just so happens to be one of the highest ranks of all demons. They know little of friendship, and any love they have is nothing more than political," Naruto said. "I've taught the one sealed inside of me what I knew, and that's not much to be honest, but he wants to find out more about it. Since then, we've been on somewhat good terms. This also means I don't really have to wrestle for control of my own chakra. Another reason my chakra control sucked to high freaking hell." She gave a nod. "Does the fact that I house a Biju scare you? Or make you hate me?" "No," she shouted. "Nothing you could do would make me hate you, short of killing anyone close to me." Naruto gave her a smile. She saw that it wasn't the same smile he usually had. This one truly made me smile. A joyful one. She finally blinked and said, "I was hoping you'd say that." She nodded, confused. "Well, I wanted to make sure what I thought was correct, and you proved me wrong." She appeared on the verge of tears when Naruto went on. "I thought you were just trying to get close to me, only to betray me in the end. Isn't the first time it's happened, and I can almost guarantee it won't be the last." He breathed deeply and noticed her shocked expression. "The reason being?" "Well," he said, closing his eyes to discover that nobody was nearby. He set up a sound barrier and performed a few hand signs. "Don't tell anyone this, but I'm from the future, and we were a little close. I had to make sure you really did like me like you did then. And you do. I was never able to truly ask you why you did, but I didn't question it. I loved the feeling, better than I liked Sakura, who by the way hit me more times than I care to count, so she's not really the one for me. More like a sister, to be honest. Anko Mitarashi is also like a sister, mainly because the two of us are outcasts." She gave a nod. "I'm glad." She shook her head and asked, "That I trust you with this? That we actually got together in the future?" She gave a nod. Without thinking, she rested her head on his shoulder and said, "And here I was thinking it was both of them." She fell asleep as he rested his head on hers. That's how Naruto was meditating, too. Another clone materialized in front of him, a 3-foot long, 9-inch thick scroll on his back, and she appeared at peace. Before mouthing something, the person whose head was on Hinata's opened one eye and brought a finger to his lips. "Boss is in the armory. Put the evidence inside Dad's nose." With a nod, the other clone departed in a void shunshin. The one with Hinata resumed her head meditation. When Hinata awoke a few minutes later, Naruto was still there, but his head was resting on hers. He said, finally awake, "Tenshi, Heim?" She spoke while closing her eyes. "If this is a dream, I don't want to wake up." Naruto gave a small laugh. He said, "Then it's a good thing this isn't a dream, isn't it?" And she gave him a startled look. "And what you heard before you passed out on my shoulder? That was real as well." Her eyes widened. "Do you see that I want to continue with what I left off on?" She gave a nod. But a query arose. "Why did you come back?" Naruto's eyes grew lifeless. "You were pregnant. No one knew but you, me, and Sakura. Someone killed you. I had no purpose for living anymore. If I could be with you alive, then I would do it." He looked at her with his dead eyes. She saw it when her eyes met his. "You were the only one to truly like me for me. Everyone that was close to me were dead, or dying. All at the hands of one man. I almost killed him. I was going to kill myself doing it, too. I didn't care. There wasn't even 10 left alive. 2 were mortally wounded. 1 killed off anyone and everyone. 1 was me. The rest were not really wounded, but had no power to fight. My team. We were still standing. Sasuke, Sakura and Sasuke was a rogue, but has decided to back me this time. Sakura was one of those mortally wounded. I had to kill Sasuke, thus killing myself. Instead, we all got sent back in time. I received word from all of the others but one." "How?" Naruto gave a headshake. "I wouldn't kill Sasuke before that. When he killed you, all bets were off, all limitations, gone. No holds barred. Outright obliterate. That's what I was going for. If the Kyuubi, or Kurama as it is his name, did not have a time-traveling jutsu, then I wouldn't be alive, and I wouldn't be talking to the only one that I can truly say I care about more than myself. One that I would die for in a heartbeat. Without you, my life means nothing. So, if I can't protect you, and you die, I would kill myself within an hour of seeing the proof." Not caring that she might faint at any moment, she hugged him after seeing the honesty in his eyes. Then came the original. "Having fun?" He caught the attention of Hinata and see Naruto. "Not really," she cried with what I told her. Naruto's gaze expanded. "You didn't? If anyone deserves to know, she does. Not even Gigi should have known, and you know it." "See," Naruto yelled. Hinata was taken aback by this. Then Naruto gave Hinata a pitying glance. Naruto looked away from her, preventing him from seeing her smile, but his eyes were still teary. "I'm sorry if what he said made you cry. You shouldn't cry. It doesn't suit you, and it mars your beautiful face. I can't say much else, and I didn't want you to know, if only to make sure you didn't cry." Naruto.kun. She gave him a hug, and he turned to face her, shedding all of his tears. She began to cry as she rubbed his back. The clone created an all-purpose barrier while observing them. Chakra, scent, sound, visual, and wind displacement. After hours of remaining that way, they finally dozed off next to one another. It wasn't until Sasuke entered the barrier the following day that they were discovered. Well, I should have anticipated that. He left the barrier and approached Sakura, Haku, and Kakashi. Practice Area 7. Through Shunshin, Sasuke arrived in the region. Sakura, Kakashi, and Haku all sighed. Kakashi inquired, "Anyone have any idea where he's at? I mean, normally, I'm the one that's late." According to Sasuke, "I found him, and I think it's best if he isn't disturbed." Haku, Kakashi, and Sakura all turned to face him. Kakashi questioned, "Do I even want to know?" According to Sakura, "I think I know." Sasuke nodded, "It's Hinata, isn't it?" When Sakura said, fell asleep next to her with his all-purpose barrier. An eyebrow was raised. It blocks out sound, sight, chakra, and wind displacement. It essentially makes it so anyone inside doesn't exist. It falls just short of a pocket dimension, if you catch my drift. With a sigh, Sasuke nodded. "That's what it was. Then we should let him be. You were lucky to go into the barrier, because not even the Byakugan can notice anything through it. I had my Sharingan active, and I couldn't see the barrier until after I had gotten into it. That thing is unnoticeable to any dojutsu known to date. Sasuke acknowledged. Minus the Rinnegan, of course, but that's only because he hasn't gone up against someone with it. Kakashi said, fake Madara had one, along with a Sharingan. Naruto managed to get a drop from behind him once with it. Never worked again. Each of them gave a nod. As the others arrived, Haku went to sit on a tree branch. Alright, you two. Sakura gave me a simplified version of your abilities, since they are drastically different from where they were before the mission to Wave, but I'd have to evaluate you to see just where you're at. Sasuke said, so, we gotta fight you. No, you're fighting each other, while I watch from the sidelines. With my Sharingan revealed. Something tells me I'll need it, acknowledged Kakashi. Kakashi was happy to be observing with his Sharingan during their 10-minute spar. Sakura typically shrugged off or avoided Sasuke's numerous uses of fire and lightning element jutsu, including the Chidori variations, knowing that they could kill her. It was Kakashi who said, alright, that's enough, and they both leapt away. Sasuke, I must say I'm impressed at what you know. Sakura. That's a far cry from what you were before the mission. Namely, your fangirl tendencies. I outgrew them when I started training under Tsunade herself. I eventually surpassed her, and used someone else's jutsu. Sasuke, you know him as Kabuto, and actually used it constantly throughout that fight, knowing I don't stand a chance against him, and if any of those lightning jutsu hit, I was a goner. Naruto is another story, as he got hit by Chidori more than once, and was still standing. Sakura acknowledged. You did that? Sasuke turned his head and said, unfortunately, it was at the Valley of the End. That's all that I should say. It's nothing more than a memory, and something else I have to atone for this time around. At that moment, Naruto approached the training ground. Sorry I'm late. I woke up next to an angel. Kakashi's gaze sparkled. No, it wasn't in a perverted position. I detest that, and you better not be thinking it was a replica of Icha. And yes, I did go through all of them, in respect for my last sensei after he died against pain. Sternly replied Naruto. I still think Tales of a Gutsy Shinobi is a better one. That reminds me. I should ask him about a sequel for it. Legacy of a Gutsy Shinobi. That would work as a title. Alright, I'll need to see just what you're capable of. With or without the current limitations I put on myself until I cross certain areas. With first. Said Kakashi. Naruto gave a shrug. Haku, you up for it? Go all out, because you'll need it. Oh. And I never made what I got after I got back off limits, since no one knows about them. Naruto assumed a taijutsu stance as Haku leapt to the ground. You should know that Zabuza wanted me to teach you some ninjutsu. I've got a few things in the works right now myself, so you know, replied Naruto. Using only kunai, senbon, and taijutsu, Haku and Naruto engaged in a 10-minute spar. Kakashi was somewhat, but not very, impressed. Not a single shadow clone was created by Naruto. Stop, Kakashi said, turning to face Naruto. Why didn't you use the shadow clone jutsu, Naruto? They're next to useless against her speed, to be honest. Besides, I was foregoing all ninjutsu, and that includes the shadow clone jutsu. Shall we add in ninjutsu? Naruto ultimately asked and received a nod. Then let's do this. Water senbon, ice senbon, and ice dragons flew from Haku's position as Naruto and Haku proceeded. As if he hadn't been there, the senbon phased through him using a jutsu that Sasuke saw sent chakra to every cell in his body. Naruto then leapt back and disappeared. Haku shut her eyes and listened for Senbon, who was ready for anything. Without making a sound, Naruto appeared, sliced Haku's ankle, and swiftly vanished. Sasuke and Kakashi couldn't figure out what he was doing. After landing one cut, he vanished completely, leaving them unable to see anything until he was ready to emerge. This happened in just 2 seconds. Then Haku made a hand seal, believing she was in a genjutsu. Naruto landed another cut after failing to appear automatically. Haku, do you believe this to be a genjutsu? I'll tell you a little secret, though. The Yondaime Hokage based the Hiraishin on this exact jutsu because he was unable to perform it like me. I am everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I am nothing, yet I am everything. I am. Naruto had a kunai at her throat. The winner. Behind her, opposite her navel, was another Naruto with another kunai at the small of her back. This performance impressed Kakashi. Now that was impressive. Naruto acknowledged, something I picked up on during the Uzumaki trials. Still working on it, to be honest. According to Sasuke, how do you do that? Naruto nodded and said, Izanagi allows you to erase parts of your existence, correct? Well, by channeling my void chakra into my cells, I do the same thing, allowing me to erase my presence completely. In doing so, I can reappear anywhere I am familiar with, or can see when I do so. So basically, I can send 10.50 shadow clones into an area I have to infiltrate, transform them into something small, and have them scout out an entire base, and then they dispel, allowing me to learn the entire layout, allowing me to get where I need to be without entering myself, and then I take care of the objective. That's something else I did yesterday. Speaking of, I wonder what Hinata's doing with her family right now. With Hinata Heishi Hyuga, Hinata's father, was waiting for her on the front porch of her clan's estate, a shotgun sitting on his lap, looking a little out of place. When Hinata saw it, she was taken aback that he had it there rather than atop a fireplace. Before he realized who it was, she swallowed but approached him, so he pointed it at her. "Where were you last night?" She tried to come up with, "I fell asleep in a training ground last night." "And you stayed there instead of coming home?" She grinned. "Which one?" She answered, a little hesitantly but honestly, 32. "You're telling the truth, yet no one found you there when we searched them all." Anbu suddenly materialized in front of them both. "Heishi Hyuga, we have news about your daughter." Heishi said, "She's right here, as you can see. How did you miss her in training ground 32? Since Hinata was unaware of this, she remained silent. "We didn't find anything resembling a genjutsu to hide anyone, or anything, so she couldn't have been there. I was about 20 meters northwest of the posts in the center of the training ground, at the base of a tree. How could you not see me?" Hinata was truly perplexed. "You're hiding something, yet you are confused as to how Anbu couldn't find you. Why?" "That's why I'm confused. They should have seen me, but if they couldn't." Her pupils widened. "Anbu-san, where is Team 7 training right now? Could he have?" He didn't realize that Hinata had left the moment he said, 44, I think. Different from their usual, and I don't know why. Not again. Relax, I think I know where she's headed this time, so I'll go after her this time." Heishi stood up and executed a shunshin. Alongside Team 7. Strength training was what they were doing. In essence, the team was going through the several hundred shadow clones that Naruto was creating by himself. Just taijutsu. When Hinata landed beside them, Haku and Kakashi watched with earnestness. "I need to talk with Naruto-kun about something." "Is it about that barrier he made that kept you both unseen, even to Sasuke's Sharingan?" Kakashi inquired. Hinata gave him a startled look. "Would that mean it couldn't be seen through with the Byakugan?" Heishi questioned, causing Hinata to stiffen with fear. Kakashi said, "Yes, and he's already tested it out. Sasuke only found where they were because he entered it on mere chance, and didn't see it with his Sharingan active. Apparently it blocks sight, sound, scent and all forms of chakra from being sensed. It's an all-purpose barrier, but apparently someone can walk into it on accident." At this moment, one of the Naruto clones saw Hinata and Heishi and immediately climbed up. "Hey, Hinata-chan. What's up?" Hinata took a small leap back. "You didn't say anything about a barrier last night before I passed out. You seemed about to wake up a few times, I'll admit, but you played it off as a dream, apparently. The time I conked out, you were snuggled up to my chest. Probably milking the dream for all it was worth. By that point, I kept the barrier up, since the clone that was there earlier dispelled, and it kept us hidden. Apparently, Sasuke found us, and he left just as I woke up. I woke you up, and you know the story from there." Heishi said, "I should have brought the shotgun." Naruto opened one and said, "You mean that antique that I'd used to scare off rednecks? Like this one?" Heishi was taken aback. "How did you get that one?" Naruto pumped it, saying, "There were a few in my father's old armory." Heishi was a little alarmed before Naruto aimed it at the clones and squeezed the trigger, eliminating 5 of them. "And this one, on the other hand, is loaded." He pumped it once more, ejecting the shell, and said, "And as you can see, it fires properly. I've got 3 more shells in here. I'm surprised he had so many guns in such good quality. I only took this shotgun, think M1014 from COD. MW, 2 handguns, Desert Eagle COD. MW2, and a katana. What's more is, I clone myself, my clones get them, sealed or not." Heishi gave him a look. "Well, try fighting without it." He gestured toward the altercation and said, "If you look down there, you'll see I can." He saw Naruto using his left arm to activate a devil arm. "Sasuke, Sakura, and I are fighting against a horde of clones, and I'm supposed to be a part of the horde, as I'm a clone." The original Naruto exclaimed, "Get back." Sakura and Sasuke leapt back as Naruto extended his left hand, sending a pulse toward a group of clones, eliminating 30 of them, and another that appeared to have been grabbed before being flung into another, causing them to both dispel. Whistling, the clone said, "That's the devil arm at work," and Boss can switch between his usual one and that one, with both arms, and apparently can do so with one arm at a time. "Devil arm?" asked a startled Heishi. "That's right, it was a prize for the second Uzumaki trial. Being a Jinchuriki, and yes she knows of it, and no she didn't care, is the reason that he can change them out. They make the unstable Yuki safe to use around others." See, Naruto replied. "That's why he just used it." Naruto simply disappeared. Some of them were being removed by Sasuke and Sakura, while others were being positioned randomly and dispelled at random times. Kakashi shook his head and said, "Void Striker. The Hiraishin was modeled after it, and only Naruto can use it." Hinata said, drawing a look from her father, "Void Element. He told me about this. It's supposed to be a bloodline with a secondary activation cost. The village helped him activate it, allowing him to do this." One Naruto remained after some time, and it was on the branch. With his Byakugan activated, Heishi briefly saw chakra emerge before slicing the clone in front of them through the spine and vanishing once more. Then, Naruto crouched down beside his teammates. That was fun. Naruto scowled at Heishi and said, "Hinata, Chan, Haku, Kakashi. Sensei, come on down. You can too, Heishi. Sama." Heishi observed the forced suffix and the glare. He found himself directly beside them. "What did you do to her?" "Nothing physically. We talked, she came close to fainting, cried into my shoulder, I cried into hers, we both passed out after that. Barrier was up, and it stayed up until I took it down after I woke up, but before Hinata Chan could realize it was there, apparently. It's my all-purpose barrier. An ninjutsu that has several properties of fuinjutsu. It falls just short of a pocket dimension, but there is no limit as to who can enter it, but they won't know until they do. Byakugan is useless for spotting it, much less seeing what's going on inside. One of the reasons that, if I don't want to be found, I won't be found. I could very easily disappear off the map." A fox suddenly materialized in front of Naruto. It nodded after taking a look around. "Naruto. Sama, Rigaldo requests your presence." "Why now? He said it was your order a few days back." An ear-splitting grin then appeared on Naruto's face. "Let him know I'll pick it up after training is done." "Well, it's done now. And who is Rigaldo?" Naruto turned to Hinata and said, "You don't want to know, and that means I can go now." He turned to Heishi and said, "I'll see you when I get back. If you weren't the Hyuga clan head, you would be less than dirt right now for what you put Hinata Chan through. If you thought you were making her strong, you were dead wrong. All you did was cause her to get worse by crushing herself. Confidence. Let her proceed on her own, or with me. Either one works, because your clan, frankly, sucks at variety." He then got up and disappeared into the air. The fox gave Heishi a look. The fox departed in a cloud of smoke, saying, "Be glad he didn't kill you on the spot, as he very well could have." He said that, and Hinata looked surprised. Heishi turned to Hinata, who appeared shocked, but he was perplexed as to how he knew. Then it dawned on him. "I was mistaken. All Hyuga should be able to handle such insults. However, it makes her less determined, which makes her less strong." Sasuke said, grabbing Hiashi's attention, "Looks like you're getting the message he sent. One's strength is only as high as one's resolve and determination. If their resolve is weak, then they're weak. He's been through it. I've been through it. Hinata's been through." He lost his connection. Sakura went on, "I've been through it." Kakashi said, "I've been through it." Haku said, "I've been through it." Sasuke said, "And now you know why we know it's the truth. Weaken her resolve, you weaken her. She's better off training with us than with her clan." Heishi let out a sigh. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto emerged from behind a tree and said, "If you want me to help her out, then I'll do so. Frankly, you suck as a teacher, and you're even worse as a father. The only reason I show you any respect is if someone around would rather try to kill me for not doing so. You, clearly, have not earned it." Heishi inclined his head slightly. Hinata gave Naruto a startled look. When Naruto turned to face Hinata, his expression softened. She perceived a hidden message. "Don't let what he did get to you, and you won't fail." Then Naruto let out a sigh. "If anyone says anything about fate, send them to me. I'll change their tune quickly. With either my words, or my fists." Heishi proposed, "Maybe we should send Neji to him." Hinata gave Naruto a look. She and Heishi both nodded when he said, "This weekend should do. Do better than I did. The elders, frankly, have given up on her." Naruto said, "And when we're done, she'll prove them wrong. No questions on how it gets done. The way I see it, the less you know, the better off you'll be." Hinata bowed as she gave him a look. "Thank you." Deadpanned, Naruto said, "Don't bow." She stood up, nodded, and smiled. "I don't like that, as formality is something I reserve for boring things, and even then I'd only give a slight bow, if at all." Seeing it, Naruto grinned and gave it back. "Kakashi Sensei, I'll be sending a shadow clone to D-rank missions, and training her during that time." Kakashi inquired, "Where are you going to do so?" "Best if you don't know, but it's a place I'm well liked." He stopped. She said, "In fact." Hinata grabbed my shoulder. They both disappeared into thin air, saying, "Hang on, and don't leave my side the moment we get there." Heishi witnessed the event. "Shunshin?" Kakashi said, "No, I don't think so." Sasuke said, "It's his void element. He's long gone by now." "Where?" "Who knows?" inquired Sakura. "All I can say is, he'll protect her if it kills him. However, I don't think she'll be harmed if she's with him. Probably why he said not to leave his side once they get there," said Sasuke. With a collective sigh, they practiced jutsu. Heishi departed.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.